Your mother bought a car for your use.
Mm-hmm.
That's not correct.
He was there during the agreement that we made.
Who is this?
It's my father. He's my witness.
Good. Stand up, sir. You have no personal first-hand knowledge of anything. Is that correct?
No much, because...
Now you can sit. What did you think he was going to say to me?
This is Judy Justice. Chastity Rubio Cortez is suing her son, Christian Rubio Cortez, for an unpaid car loan, DUI fees, and tires.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3130, Rubio Cortez versus Rubio Cortez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Cortez, this is your son. How old are you?
19.
What do you do for a living?
Currently unemployed. I kind of just drive around and deliver food.
Who is this?
It's my father.
Your father and mother are no longer together, I assume?
No.
Is he a witness for you or just here for support?
Yes, ma'am. He's my witness.
Okay. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Cortez. Your mother bought a car for your use. Mm-hmm. In what year?
2022.
So at the time you were 17?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the arrangement you had with your mother?
We would buy the car and split it half and half.
Explain that to me. You're going to cut the car in half?
The price was $4,000, so I would pay $2,000 and she would pay $2,000.
Did your mother have her own car?
She did.
So what you're saying is she was going to make a gift to you of the other $2,000?
No, ma'am. She was also going to use the car as well.
But she had her own car?
She did.
What kind of car did she have?
She had a Ford Explorer.
And what kind of car did you buy with your mother?
It's a Honda Civic Coupe.
What year?
2008.
And what year is the Explorer?
2018.
So if I were going to choose a car to drive around, I would choose the Ford Explorer rather than the 10-year-older Honda Civic. That's what I would choose. Take a vote here? Take a vote here? Yeah. Okay. Now, this is what the case is about. Your mother said you still owe money on the car. And your claim to me is you paid for half.
Correct.
And that's all you're supposed to pay for.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a pretty good story. Now, how old were you when you got your first ticket with the car?
17.
What'd you get a ticket for?
I was on my way home from work, and I ended up falling asleep.
Fell asleep at the wheel of the car. What kind of work were you doing?
I was working at a fast food restaurant.
For how many hours?
8 to 10.
What time of the day or night did you fall asleep at the wheel?
I would say 6 p.m.
Did you damage the car?
No, ma'am.
What did you hit?
I just closed.
And that was when you had just gotten the car?
Correct.
Now, when did you get your second ticket?
It was in 2023.
What did you get a ticket for?
I got a DUI.
Did you plead guilty to the DUI?
I did.
How much was the fine for the DUI?
$600.
Who paid that?
My mother.
Well, the $600, now you're over the age of 18. $600 is your punishment for driving while drunk or intoxicated with something else. You wouldn't ask somebody to do your jail time for you. You wouldn't say to my mom, I don't like to be in jail. Could you please go for me? You wouldn't say that to her, right?
No.
Well, the $600 is your penalty for breaking the law. Did you pay your mother back?
Yes, ma'am.
The whole $600?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that true?
That's not correct.
Did he pay you anything towards the $600?
Not towards the $600 yet. He's still paying off the car. He still hasn't paid it off. And the first ticket.
Well, the first ticket was when he was 17 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
And as far as I'm concerned, that ticket is on you. Because I wouldn't have let him keep the car for a second after he had the car for a short period of time, drove recklessly, and then fell asleep at the wheel. Somebody had to have reported it. What he said, he was sleeping. Do you understand? Do you know the circumstances of that? Why don't you tell me?
He was coming home from work, and he did end up driving recklessly and kind of hit an embankment, but didn't total the car or anything.
Well, when did he go to sleep?
Well, he was driving, I guess. I wasn't there.
Well, that's what I asked him. I'm not getting an answer from him.
Yeah. I mean, he got a ticket for reckless driving, and he fell asleep, so...
You mean he fell asleep first?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I wasn't following this. That he fell asleep at the wheel.
Yes.
As a result of which he drove recklessly, for which he got a ticket.
Yes.
Because he was still driving or in the car moving when he was stopped by the police.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how much are you supposed to pay on the car per week?
$65.
How much in total did you pay on the car?
It was $2,112.
Just on the car? Mm-hmm. And how much did you pay your mother in total?
And then there was another $1,420, and that is for the DUIs and other tickets.
So in total, you're going to show me $35.32 in payments to your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? Is that what you have? Okay.
Chastity Rubio Cortez claims her son, Christian Rubio Cortez, owes for an unpaid car loan, DUI fees, and tires.
Now, how much do you have, Miss Cortez, as his total payments to you for everything?
For everything, he has paid on the car $3,235, and he still owes for the DUI fees, the tire rims.
Forget tire rims, forget tires. If you want to pay for his tire rims, that's your business. I don't care if you drive a tire without rims, but nuts and bolts in there. Not when he hasn't paid other tickets. That's on you.
Well, I mean, I was just thinking of
He
the
paid
safety money.
$3,235. Well, not so much different. There's a difference in $300. Now, tell me what your father is going to testify to.
He was there during the agreement that we made.
Good. Stand up, sir. Tell me your last name.
Rubio Cortez.
Mr. Cortez, I want you to think back 2 years when your son was 17. Were you and your wife together at that point?
No.
Where were you when you heard the discussion between your former wife and your son?
I was home,
In whose home?
in my home,
Who lives with you?
my other son.
What was your former wife doing there?
No, I just heard.
Look at me.
Yes, ma'am.
You were home. She wasn't there.
Uh-huh.
So you weren't all in the same house together.
No, my other son, he goes and hang out with them. So that's how I was noticed that they was going to buy another car.
So you don't have no personal first-hand knowledge of anything. Is that correct?
No much because
Not much. Well, that was my question.
Yes, ma'am.
I said you have no first-hand personal knowledge of anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can sit. What'd you think he was going to say? What did you think he was going to say to me? You said he was a witness to the agreement that you made with your mother. How's that?
Because me and my brother have both told him about it. And he was...
Okay, very good. Because you told your father. Was your brother there when you and your mother allegedly made this agreement?
Yes, he switched between
Just
houses.
just a second. Where is your brother now?
Not here.
Where is he?
He's at work or home, I guess.
Okay. And so you mind telling me why you brought your father instead of your brother, who you say actually heard this agreement?
Because he couldn't make it.
He couldn't make it because he was home.
He just told me he couldn't make it.
Just a second. Yeah. Now, you owe your mother $2,600 for the car. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
We agreed to split it, and she expected me to pay more than what we agreed upon.
Well, because he's not taking responsibility of his actions.
And after that, we got into an argument, and ever since then, we just haven't been on good terms.
He's upset with me right now, but I think it will be okay.
Probably not at the moment going to be talking with her that much, but I'm sure I'll be talking to her again soon.
You know, he could not make a contract with his mother when he was 17.
True.
But because he made payments after he was 18, he ratified that contract. The reason that I didn't give her any money for the first ticket was because once he got that first ticket for reckless driving, I would have taken that car away. I wouldn't have kept it in my name. And the kid, clearly, the young man has an ongoing battle with the truth. The father, however,
He was honest.
well, not really.
It almost sounded like he thought he could really be a witness because his other son had told him
You think so?
something.
You believe in humanity, I think, maybe a little more than I do. I think that he just got caught.
That's also possible.
So you were cooking tacos. You started to yell because he was getting his food first.
I was raised out in my house, lady eat first before men.
That's when her mom started tripping. This woman punched me in my face twice.
He supported your family.
Yes.
You were eating tacos that he bought.
Yeah, but
That might have entitled him to take his food first.
This is Judy Justice. Daniel Denham is suing his ex-girlfriend, Tamra Hoffbauer, and her daughter, Danae Outlaw, for an unpaid loan, unauthorized debit card charges, and a false arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3177, Denham versus Hoffbauer, outlaw.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your last name is?
Hoffbauer.
That's your daughter.
Yes.
17?
Yes.
Mr. Denham, you first met Miss Hoffbauer, according to your complaint, years ago. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was in Minnesota,
Yes, it was.
where you were both living.
Yeah.
How old are you, sir?
31, ma'am.
And how old are you?
40.
You have 3 children?
Yes.
How old are they?
15, 17, and 19.
How old were you when you met the defendant?
19.
And how old were you?
I was 30, 31.
Doesn't all add up, but close. And you had a physical relationship. Is that right?
Yes.
Then you moved to California.
Yes.
In what year did you move to California?
I moved out of town first, and then I later moved to California right after. But I was about like 8 years into that.
Okay. And then somehow you and Miss Hoffbauer reconnected. When was that?
I was around, it's like November of 2022. It was the year of 2022, I know that for sure. I'm not quite sure of the date, but it was in...
You reconnected how? On the internet?
Yes.
And according to what I read, you became close again, and you decided that you would move back to Minnesota, where Miss Hoffbauer lived with her 3 children. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Only under the conditions of what I was doing for her, of course.
All I made was a stark statement, which was you decided to go back to live in Minnesota with Miss Hoffbauer and her 3 children.
My apologies, yes.
And she didn't have any money. She had lost a job, she says. She was struggling financially. Where were you living, Miss Hoffbauer, when you were having this internet romance with the plaintiff?
In 2022,
No.
Oh.
Just answer my question. Where were you living?
In my car.
With your 3 children?
Yes.
So you sent her $6,200 in order to find a place to live for herself, the 3 children, and you were going to join them. That's the story that I'm getting. Is that right?
Yes, and it was also to fix her car, too.
But you sent $6,200, and you do not deny that he sent you $6,200.
No.
No is the answer. And with that $6,200, you found a place to live, a rental.
Yes.
You put down month's rent, month's security, last month. How much was it that you put down?
$3,500.
And what did you do with the rest of the $6,200?
I fixed my car. I needed...
Just a second. You
sorry.
fixed your car.
Yeah, fixed my car.
Yes.
And bought household, like some furniture and household items I needed.
In what month and year did you move to Minnesota, Mr. Denham?
October 27th of 2023.
And in what month did you get the apartment? Was that also in October?
It was before that. It was in August is when I moved into my apartment.
The apartment he paid for? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you moved in August 1st?
Yep.
Yep,
It was
it's not an
October.
answer.
Yes.
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 It's an answer. And he joined you a couple of months later.
Yes.
You were working in California?
Yes.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was working for a company called Con Global. It's a car shipping port. I was shipping Teslas.
Did you have a job waiting for you in Minnesota?
Yes, I did, but it fell through. But I later ended up getting a new job.
In Minnesota?
Yeah.
So you were there at the end of October, and you were there the month of November, living together, and the month of December.
Yes.
On December 31st, which is New Year's Eve, you were cooking.
Yes.
What were you cooking?
I was cooking tacos
For whom?
for the family.
Had you gotten a job, Miss Hoffbauer? The answer was either a yes or a no.
No.
So you did not have a job from the time you moved into the apartment until December 31st.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Denham was supporting you and your 3 children because prior to Mr. Denham, you were living in your car.
Yes.
All that is true.
Yes.
So you were cooking tacos.
Yes.
And what happened?
Okay, so the meat had just got done.
No, just a second. You were cooking tacos, and what happened?
And he got up to get his food first.
To get his food first?
Yes.
And?
I had felt some type of way.
You speak slowly so that I can hear you.
I had felt some type of way when he got up to get his food first.
What did she say?
She felt some type of way when he got up first
Well,
to get
what
his
kind
food.
of way? Don't speak. What kind of way did you feel when Mr. Denham got up to get his food first? And I want you to speak slowly so I don't have to use an interpreter.
I felt like aggravated, like, because, like, I feel like he shouldn't have got his food first. Like,
that he should not have.
No, because, like, I was raised that in my house, the lady eat first before men. That's how I was raised. And I felt some type of way when he got his food first.
Okay, so you were annoyed, some type of way.
Yep.
An unhappy type of way. An unhappy type of way when he went to get his food first, right? Is not an answer.
Yeah.
Yes is an answer.
Daniel Denham claims his ex-girlfriend, Tamra Hoffbauer, and her daughter, Danae Outlaw, owe for an unpaid loan and unauthorized debit card charges. Tamra is countersuing Daniel for an assault.
Okay, so what did you do? What did you do?
I walked away after, and then he started arguing with my mom.
No. You said something. Look at me. Turn your body around, look at me. What did you say to him when he got up to get his food first?
I said, you shouldn't be able to get your food first. And then I said, you shouldn't be able to get your food first. I was yelling. I was mad. I was like...
You were yelling and you were bad. Just a second. That's better. Because it's like I was there, right? Like I have a camera inside. So you started to yell at Mr. Denham because he was getting his food first.
Yes.
I want to ask you this question. You had now lived in the household with Mr. Denham for 2 months.
Yes.
Had you ever heard your mother and Mr. Denham arguing?
Yes.
What did they argue about?
Money.
What was the argument about?
It was about him trying to say that my mom has to give all the money that he gave to my mom back to him.
Okay, so that they were arguing about this $6,200.
Yes.
That he said, you have to give that back to me.
Yes.
And your mom said...
My mom said that she didn't...
No. He said, you have to give that money back to me.
Yes.
And your mom said what?
No.
No. And that's what they argued about.
Yes.
Yes. So now you're telling me he's got to wait to eat dinner.
Yes.
And you were yelling at him.
Yes.
You yelled at him first.
Yes.
And then what happened?
After I yelled at him, he went to the bed to sit back down to eat his food. And then that's when my mom stepped in to defend me because he was still arguing with me.
Well, just a second. He sat down
on
the bed to eat his food.
Yes.
And then your mother came out and he's sitting eating his food.
Yes.
And what did your mother say to him?
Nothing, because we were still arguing. Me and him were still arguing.
What were you arguing about? He was eating.
He was eating, and he also said that he spent $50,000 on me by myself. That's what made me really mad because I don't like when people throw money in my face. And then he was trying to throw money in my face, trying to say he spent all the money on me, and he never spent nothing on me.
Well, you were living in a house he paid for. You were eating tacos that he bought.
Yeah, but...
You were living in Minnesota in December, where it's very cold, and he was paying for the heat, right? You were driving around in a car that wasn't working, that your mother had fixed with his money.
Yes.
All of those things are true, right?
Yes.
Okay. That might have entitled him to take his food first. So he's sitting and eating. Your mother comes over to defend you because you're yelling at him about he's taking his food.
Yes.
And then what happened?
And then after that, him and my mom started arguing.
Okay. Was he still sitting on the bed eating his food? So he's sitting. Is your mother standing or sitting?
She's sitting on the bed, too.
So she's sitting on the bed, and she's yelling at him, and you're yelling at him.
And then I went in my room, and then I let them argue, and then they were both yelling, and then that's when they got, I don't know what happened, because I didn't see him slap my mom really like that. I went in my room, and then he just slapped my mom, and then that's when I came out there.
Well, you said you didn't see that.
No, I didn't really see,
Just a second. You'd said, I didn't see that.
No, I ran in my room, after I heard a little bit of it, going on, I ran back out there. And, that's when I ran out there to call the police. I ran in the hallway, called police, and he ran out there after me, and he snatched my phone out of my hand and hung up the phone and said, don't call the police.
And?
And then after that, I ran into the neighbor's house and called the police for them to come. because he was trying to take my phone and said don't call the police when he slapped my mom.
You didn't see that?
No.
No. Somebody have a police report?
I do.
I'd like to see it. You have the district attorney's dismissal of your case?
I wasn't able to obtain it.
Okay, but it's over.
Yeah.
Your case is over. It was never tried. Did you speak to the police that day?
Yes.
Well, you just told me a story, then the first couple of lines of the police report are different from the police. I'm just telling you.
Yes.
The first few lines of the police report are different. You said you were raised that a man doesn't take his food first, they eat last. That's what you just told me, correct? She can read that back. That's why Whitney is here.
Yes.
You told the police that you argued about how much food he took to eat. How much food? Not that he went first. So that wasn't true, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, this police report is interesting. It says that you got involved in this argument and you poked him in the chest and punched him in the right eye. That's what the police report says.
Oh, I did not.
That's what the police report says. And then he slapped you on the left side of your face with his right hand. That's what the police report says. Is that what happened, sir?
No.
Well, you want to tell me what happened?
I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, Your Honor.
Well, that's what I want to hear, exactly what happened.
I was cooking the food since the beginning. Danae was nowhere to be found. I don't even know where she was at the time I was cooking.
You mean the daughter?
Yeah, the daughter. It's 8 pounds of meat. It was me, her, Danae, Samantha, and the other teenage daughter, Danae. Cooking the food, just cooking it. It's done. No one's trying to eat. I even said it was done. I scooped up my food, one taco, sat down and started eating. She goes in there, scrapes the pot. Damn, Dino, why you eating up all the food?
Who said that?
The daughter. Then she starts going off, telling me demands, telling me I need to get the out of her house.
Is that
I'm
what you
calling
said
the
to him?
cops. Yes, it is.
Shh. Is that what you said to him?
Yes.
Okay, and?
Or she's calling the cops. And she started calling the cops. So I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you calling the cops? I'm not going anywhere. I've been paying all the bills, this, that, and the other. She just kept on going, and she ended up actually calling the cops. And I'm telling her, get off the phone. What are you doing? That's when her mom started jumping in the conversation. She started tripping. And once I brought up that I just helped you guys out from being stranded, this woman punched me in my face twice.
You let go of her hand.
I wasn't even trying to smack her. I was trying to block her from punching me. And I guess the block was like a smack to her, but I didn't smack her.
Okay.
It was like my fingertips.
Whatever.
nipped her.
She put her hands on you first.
Yes.
That's what it says in the police report.
Daniel Denham has accused his ex-girlfriend, Tamra Hoffbauer, and her daughter, Danae Outlaw, of owing for an unpaid loan and unauthorized debit card charges. Tamra claims Daniel assaulted her.
Now, you were arrested, charges were dismissed. Ultimately, that case is over. Am I correct?
Yes.
This is what you're suing for. And I'm not even asking you. I asked your daughter. So I'm not going to ask you about the event. I'm just going to ask you as follows. It is true that August, September, October, November, and December, he supported your family.
Yes.
It is. That would be true. And if I believe your daughter, if I believed your daughter, which I don't, it would have been rude of her
Yes.
to say to him, what are you doing eating that food first?
Yes.
Would have been rude of her.
Yes.
And when she came to get you, did she come to get you or did you hear her?
I was in the living room. I was out there.
Okay, so you were there. So
Yep.
you heard what happened.
I saw everything,
Your
yes.
daughter was rude to the man who was taking care of you and your family. He hadn't been rude to you.
Yes, he was.
Tell me when he was rude to you on December 31st.
He was rude earlier all day that day. He's had an attitude the whole day.
Okay, now, when the police arrested you, how long were you held?
I was held for 3 days.
3 days. From December 31st through January 3rd?
Yes.
And it is your claim that in addition to the $6,200, which your daughter actually acknowledged was a loan because you had been asked to repay it over the entire course of him living there. And that's what you fought about. Look at me. That's what they fought about. Your mother returning the money that he had sent her to get started with her children. They fought about that.
Yes.
That's what you said before.
Yes.
Now, Between December 31st and January 3rd, when you were released, were there charges made on your credit card?
Yeah, he spent all my money.
Just a second. Well, I would like to see that.
I also filed a police report about my stolen wallet.
Just a second. So now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, Ms. Hoffbauer. Between December 31st and January 3rd, did you take any money or use any property that belonged to the plaintiff?
I did. I had
Just a
his
second.
permission.
The answer is yes.
Yep. Yes.
And I assume you had no communication with him while he was in jail.
No.
So you didn't have permission to take that money.
Can I say something?
You had no permission to
I
take
did,
that.
though. I had his card before. And
Whether you had his card before or not.
He gave me his card a couple days before that. That card was in my wallet. And I also have text messages asking his dad to come get his stuff, his wallet. Like, come pick it up. Nobody stole his wallet. Because there was an OFP.
Shh. Who are you?
Samantha Neely.
What do you have to do with this case?
I was there the night of the argument and the assault and pretty much a witness because I'm over with...
Was she there?
Yeah, she was there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I want you to be real careful. Do you understand?
Yes.
Really careful. You can stand up. Who was cooking? Who? Careful what you say to me. Just be real careful.
Dino.
Because you got here from Minnesota.
Yes.
I assume you want to get back to Minnesota.
Yes.
You lie to me, you don't get back to Minnesota on my dime. You understand that?
Gotcha.
Who was cooking?
Dino.
Point. He was cooking. So far, we're doing okay. And when he was finished cooking, he took his food and went over to sit down where?
Onto the mattress in the living room.
Okay. Now, when he took his food, what did she say to him?
She yelled out loud, "You're taking too much food. You shouldn't eat first. Kids and ladies should eat first."
And what did he answer?
He answered, "There's enough to feed everybody."
There was nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
Right. When did she tell him to get out of their house?
Right then and there.
Right then and there. He said, "There's enough to feed everybody," right?
Correct.
And she said, "Get out of my house."
Correct.
Now you can sit down. You can go home to Minnesota. You see, the witness says you're a liar. Do you understand that, don't you? Huh?
Yes.
Your witness, $6,200. How much was withdrawn in total, Mr. Denham, while you were incarcerated?
14, 23, 13.
Did you finally get a job?
Yes.
When?
2 months ago.
Months ago, that would be February. Well, meal ticket was gone. How to get a job. Okay, 7623, counterclaims dismissed. We're done. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
And I'm just tired of dealing with it. I'm just glad it's over with. Justice is going to always prevail, man, and the truth is going to come out regardless. So I cared about them, you know what I'm saying? I had real love for them, you know? I didn't want to have them out here suffering. I got history with them, so it just killed me that they betrayed me like that and trying to screw me over and think they're going to get away with it. I'm going to get a restraining order. Like, I don't want to ever see him again. It definitely bit the hand that fit him.
That little girl was some piece of work.
Oh, yeah. Not so little. 17.
She's 17.
You're away from
but-
being a legal adult.
Yeah, some piece of work. When I saw how this went, felt sorry for him.
Yeah.
Felt sorry for him. And he spent 3 days in jail.
Yeah. And you could tell just at 17, that frontal lobe is not fully developed yet. And you knew the situation. You knew you weren't paying the bills. You knew your sister wasn't paying the bills. You knew your mother wasn't paying the bills. And so to pop off because you felt some type of way about the order in which you ate dinner that he paid for, is just so short-sighted and just proves her immaturity. So, not much you could do, but I'm glad he got his money back.
Can you imagine what our household would look like if I yelled every time Poppy ate his food first?
Oh, no, Poppy always eats first.
Poppy always eats first.
Yep, and sometimes all of it.
Right. You hit her with your motorcycle.
I did.
She was on the side of the road.
Are you suggesting that he hit her on purpose? She was jaywalking in the middle of the street, right?
He was not in the middle of the road when he hit her.
I don't care. He was where he was supposed to be. She was not where she was supposed to be.
This is Judy Justice. Casey Griffin is suing motorcyclist Jeffrey Pearson for damages after Casey's 16-year-old daughter, Kennedy, was struck by Jeffrey while crossing the streets.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3184, Griffin versus Pearson.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
This was an accident. Your daughter was involved in an accident, in
Yes,
an
ma'am.
automobile accident. She was a pedestrian.
Yes, ma'am.
You were not there.
I was not.
Okay, so why don't you sit down, daughter, stand up. Tell me your first name.
Kennedy,
Kennedy, on what day were you involved in an accident?
December 28th,
What time?
around 6, between 6 and 7 o'clock at night.
Dark.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you live?
I live in Fulton, but the accident happened in Jeff City,
In what state?
Missouri.
You were on foot. You were walking.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you going to or coming from?
I was leaving my sister's house across the street, and I was crossing the street to get to my brother's car.
So go over there and show me where you were crossing. Show me your sister's house.
I'm not sure which one it is.
You're right in the middle of a block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're leaving your sister's house in the middle of the block. And show me where you were going.
I was going across to over here.
You were crossing in the middle of the street.
Mm-hmm.
And it was dark.
Yes.
When you cross the street in the middle of the block in the dark, are there street lamps on that street? Yes or no? Do you know? Or if you don't know, tell me I don't know.
I don't know.
Are there street lamps on your street?
There are, but most of them don't work.
Okay, so there are no street lights. If they don't work, then there are no lights. So it's dark, right?
Yes.
And you're crossing in the middle of the block.
Mm-hmm.
You wearing any reflective clothing?
No.
So tell me what happened.
So, me and my brother went to visit my sister. She lives in Jeff City, which is 30 minutes away.
I got all that. You're crossing the street.
We were gonna leave, so we were gonna get in my brother's car instead of my sister's. My brother had parked across the street, and he had already crossed the street, so I was going behind him. I had looked both ways. There was nobody coming, so I was crossing the street, and my sister was behind me. She hadn't gotten on the street yet. And as I'm walking, in my peripheral vision, I see a motorcycle come like from off the intersection, turn onto the road that I'm walking on. And I wasn't close to the end of the road at all, so I figured he would have time to see me.
Let me stop you right there, and let me process what you just said. You thought that he would have time to see you.
Yes.
You were thinking what he would be thinking.
Yes.
And?
And I was already more than halfway across the street. I only had a few more steps to get to the other side. So I just quickened up a little bit, and I was almost fully across the street, and then I got hit.
Whose fault is that?
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's anyone's fault.
Well, certainly not his fault. Certainly not his fault. You saw him.
Yes.
Okay. You're jaywalking in the middle of the street, not at a corner. You saw him, and you said to yourself, Self, I think I can make it, right? Mm-hmm. And you didn't. I mean, you don't think that this man sped up because he saw you to hit you, right? Of course not. You don't think he hit you intentionally, right?
No.
You understand that you were in the wrong crossing in the middle of the street.
No.
Well, you are. You're supposed to cross at the corner. That way, people stop. I don't know if you have stop signs, if you have lights. Stop signs or light?
Neither.
Where?
There's not a stop sign or a light. There's a light at the very end of the street.
Okay. Well, I'd like you to go over to the street where you live. And I want you to show me where the light is.
It's not in this picture. It's at the very end.
Okay. Now, on the other street, below...
This one?
That one. Is it a two-way street?
Yes.
It's a two-way street. And at the intersection there, you have 4 lanes of traffic, and you're telling me there's no stop sign or yield sign?
There's a stop sign here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Of course there's a stop sign. So at the other end of the street, there's a light, and at the corner, there's a stop sign where vehicles have to stop. Mm-hmm. Right? Right. Now you can step back. So you got hit. And what happened?
I didn't black out. I wasn't unconscious, but it was kind of blurry for a few moments. I just really remember getting hit. I rolled a few times. Everything really became clear again. A few moments later, my legs hurt a lot. I stayed on the ground for a while. I don't know exactly how long. I want to say somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes until the ambulance got there, and they put me on a stretcher and took me to the ambulance.
Casey Griffin claims motorcyclist Jeffrey Pearson hit her 16-year-old daughter, Kennedy, while crossing the streets. Jeffrey is countersuing Casey for motorcycle damages.
Go ahead.
I remember he was there too. He apologized for the accident, and he said he didn't mean to do it, and I believed him. I said, it's okay, and I said, thank you. At some point, he left. I remember my brother was there with me while I was still on the road.
And where was your sister?
She was there. I could see her pacing in the peripheral vision, and I could see she was on the phone with somebody, but I couldn't hear. And I think there were 3, maybe 2 people around me. My brother was definitely one of them. He was right to my side, on the ground, kneeling above me, and he had called my mom. Mm-hmm. There was another person, I think somebody who was just driving and got out of their car, and he said...
No, don't tell me what anybody said that got out of their car.
All right.
You can't. It's the law. You can't tell me what somebody else said. The ambulance took you to the hospital?
Yes.
Did you stay in the hospital?
Until 2 in the morning.
So you didn't spend the night there?
No.
And did they take x-rays? You had no broken bones?
No.
Had some scrapes? Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you a couple of other questions that maybe you don't know. Now I'm going to have your mom stand up. When this happened, the defendant gave someone, either your brother or your sister, his information, his insurance information, etc. That's correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you contact his insurance company?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And ultimately, his insurance company said the accident was your daughter's fault and they weren't covering any of her expenses.
No, that's not what they told me.
What did they tell you?
They told me that he didn't have coverage. I have the voicemail for it.
Did you have coverage?
I did, ma'am. I do believe that they didn't cover it because it wasn't my fault. That's what I was told.
Do you have a letter from your insurance company?
I have one of my insurance cards, a picture of it.
Okay, I'll take a look at that for now. After his insurance company told you either he didn't have insurance or they weren't paying the bill, did you consult with a lawyer?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Okay. Now, you just heard your daughter tell me, and she's absolutely charming, lovely, honest, that she didn't think this accident was anybody's fault. You agree with that?
I don't. From what I've been told, no, I don't.
I'd like you to tell me why. Let me recap the facts for you.
Okay.
He hasn't said a word really yet, but from what your daughter tells me, and as I said, she's lovely and bright and articulate and I think honest.
Mm-hmm. She is.
She was jaywalking in the middle of the street, not at a stop sign, not at a light. I haven't asked him, but it's clear even from your daughter's rendition that he certainly didn't intentionally hit her. Mm-hmm. Right? Your daughter says that her brother jaywalked first, crossed over. She was going second, and her older sister, I'm right, you were her older sister, right?
Yes.
Was behind her. She said when she got almost to the middle of the block, she saw from her peripheral vision.
I was more than halfway across the street.
She was more than halfway across the street. She saw in her peripheral vision his motorcycle, which had its lights on, but she thought she could make it because she said, I thought that he would see me and either stop or go around. I don't know what you thought, either stop, go around. She thought that he would be able to see her. It was like looking in a crystal ball. And he did, in fact, hit her because she was mistaken. He didn't see her. Right? No lights. She's crossing in the middle of the street. She saw him. He didn't see her. And it was an accident. Because what my shock is that you are suing him for not only actual damages from whatever out of pocket you may have had, but punitive damages. And you know what that is?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
To punish him for a wrongdoing. Why would you think that he did something to be punished for a wrongdoing?
Because she was already across the street. She was on the side of the road. He was not in the middle of the road when he hit her. She was on the side of the road when she got hit.
That's not what she told me. And your daughter is touching you now, and she's saying to Mom, she's touching you, and she's saying, that's not what happened. She wasn't, your daughter didn't tell me that she was not in the middle of the road. I mean, when you say middle of the road, she wasn't on a street. She was crossing. She's not supposed to cross there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what she said, but she was already across the street. My daughter has the pictures where the motorcycle was when she was hit. Her
I
head
would like to see that. If you, just a second. If you have proof, if you have proof that he went up where the cars were parked or went up on the street and hit her, I'd like to see that. Okay. Your daughter says she really thought she could make it. So she kept going, which means she was in the middle of the road. She was in the road where he was supposed to be and she was not supposed to be. If you're telling me that he actually went up on the street and hit her, I'd love to see that.
Okay.
Okay, great. You have that?
Well, he didn't come up on the side of the road, but...
Well, that's what your mother just said.
He was very close to the sidewalk. She was probably about 2 steps away from the sidewalk.
I don't care. He was where he was supposed to be. She was not where she was supposed to be.
I think it was just more so it was kind of impossible for him not to see her because she was basically crossing the street.
You're not suggesting that what your daughter says is true, that it was basically not possible for him not to see her. That would mean to me that he hit her on purpose. Are you suggesting that he hit her on purpose?
No, ma'am, I wasn't there, so.
You're not suggesting he hit her on purpose.
No.
Of course not, because his motorcycle was damaged. Why would he hit her on purpose? Okay.
Casey Griffin is accusing motorcyclist Jeffrey Pearson of hitting her 16-year-old daughter Kennedy while crossing the street. Jeffrey claims Kennedy caused the accident and damaged his motorcycle.
An accident is what happens when people don't mean to do something on purpose. That's an accident. When you look at an accident, you have to say, listen, if you have a toddler, a 2-3-year-old, and that 2 or 3-year-old darts out between 2 cars, and a motorist can't stop in time and hits that child, whose fault is that? I'm asking you a question. I want you to picture this. Cars parked on both sides of the street, motorist is going within the speed limit, right? Mm-hmm. And a little kid darts in between 2 cars out in the street, and the car hits him. And he's hurt. Whose fault is that?
The child.
Actually, it's not the child's. It's the parents who were supposed to be watching him. Now, nobody's suggesting that you're supposed to watch your daughter because she's grown up almost. Mm-hmm. Because she's allowed out at night, you allow her to make decisions for yourself. She's as tall as you are. She's bright. So she has to take responsibility for herself. She didn't dart, but he's not aware of what's going on in her mind. So this was an accident. And I can't ascribe any blame to him for that accident unless you saw her.
I did not.
Well, tell me, you were traveling and you hit her with your motorcycle.
I did.
If you had hit her going 55 miles an hour, she would be dead.
Presumably so, yes.
She not only fortunately was not dead, she wasn't seriously injured.
Correct.
Which suggests to a reasonable person that there was not an excessive speed involved. So I want you to tell me what you saw as you were riding down the street.
I thought it was closer to 8 p.m. I turned off of the highway coming from the store and got up to the stop sign, and I went right, which is where this happened.
Point over there.
Can I go there?
Go ahead.
Okay. I come off the highway right here at the stop sign and turn up this way. And as I'm coming up here, there's another car coming down this way toward me. And the car coming toward me, the headlight blinked out for a second. So I let off my throttle on my bike. And then next thing I know, 3 feet in front of me, a girl appears. Now I'm riding down the middle of my lane. I'm not on the sides. I'm not in the middle of the road. I'm in the middle of my lane. When I seen her, I tried to veer off, but I couldn't. And my bike came to a rest. Right there's the entrance to the parking lot. My bike came to a rest right here. She was right here at the corner of that entrance, and I was off my bike trying to help her.
Okay. What happened to your motorcycle?
It damaged the front end of it. I mean, it demolished the front end of my motorcycle. I have pictures if you'd like to see them.
I would.
I also have an estimate on how much damage it did.
This is an older bike.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I can see it's an older bike. What year bike is it?
It's a 1994.
When did you buy it?
About a year ago, year and a half ago.
Who'd you buy it from?
On the internet, bought it off Facebook.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $1,500 for it.
Just for giggles, I want to see the estimate that you're going to give me. Okay, so, Mr. Pearson.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing, counterclaiming,
Yes, ma'am.
because the accident wasn't your fault. And I am finding that the accident was your fault. That but for the fact that you were crossing in the middle of the street, you actually shouldn't have been where you were. He was in the right. You were not. You actually saw him and miscalculated whether or not you could beat him to the corner. That's what you told me. So it's clear to me that this accident was not his fault, but yours. He was clearly not speeding, because if he was speeding, you would have been seriously injured or worse. But, Mr. Pearson, you say you paid $1,500 for the entire motorcycle.
Right.
You're suing her for $3,500.
Right.
Well, doesn't that sound silly to you?
No, ma'am.
Well, it is silly.
The condition that the bike was in when I bought it to what it is now, and to put it back to that condition.
Buy another 1994 bike.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Buy another 1994 bike. Sarah Rose, bring up on your trusty calculator. 1994.
Wait, a calculator or Google?
Google,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I don't know what kind of bike this is.
Honda CBR.
Honda CBR?
Yes, ma'am.
CBR.
600.
You want a price? Or...
Yeah. 1994 Honda CBR.
For a very good condition, $3,145, and then it jumps from good condition is about $1,500.
Good condition is $1,500. Well, that's what he paid for it.
Another one just sold for $3,700, fixed up. $3,000 just
Really?
sold.
You got a very good deal, sir, on this motorcycle.
Yes, I
Who'd you
did.
buy it from?
I bought it from a guy up in Troy, Missouri.
Did you put any work into it?
A lot.
A lot. Like, what did you do to it?
The motor had been redone.
After you bought it,
Yeah.
not before you bought it.
No.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Pearson, believe it or not, I really believe that you're entitled to some compensation for the damage caused to your bike. I think she was negligent in crossing the way she did. She was crossing where she shouldn't have been crossing. She saw your bike. She decided to cross anyway. That's the scenario. She decided to cross anyway. She thought she could make it. Well, she didn't. She was injured. That's not your fault. Your bike was injured. That would be her fault. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're going to get what you paid for your bike, $1,500.
Okay.
Judgment on the counterclaim for $1,500. Your claim is dismissed. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I was terrified because I didn't know if she was going to live, if she was severely hurt or anything. So I was scared.
I wasn't at fault for anything, so I think that I should be paid for the damages to my bike since her daughter ran out in front of me.
He actually told the police officer that his bike was already broke, like it was, before he hit my daughter.
The bike was in almost mint shape.
I was just scared, but when I seen her and I seen that she was okay, I was fine.
I didn't see her until she's about 3 feet in front of my bike, and I couldn't do nothing.
It was really scary.
She didn't even have any visible wounds or anything.
I still don't think the accident was my fault.
Look both ways before you cross the road.
I'm just happy she's still here.
I thought that she was absolutely charming,
Yes.
honest, articulate, and it's true. You know, you're not an insurer just because you're driving a vehicle. You're not. I mean, the example that I gave about the toddler crossing the street.
I think she understood after that. It helped her put it in perspective a
You
little
think
bit.
so?
I think so.
I hope so. She and her mother should just be grateful that she had a couple of scrapes and bruises, but nothing worse than that.
Yeah.
Because if he were going any faster, or if it was a car, she wouldn't be so lucky.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Cross at the green, not in between. That's what you teach your children. I didn't always do that, but if you don't cross at the green, not in between, and if you get into an accident,
It's your fault.
It's your fault. You got out of the car, and he punched you.
Absolutely. He proceeded to keep pounding on me.
There is no indication here from you to the police that he ever put his hands on you.
He beat me up.
Be careful. I've been doing this for 50 years. Do you understand?
This is Judy Justice. Lucretia Gaines is suing her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, for assault and a false arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3030, Gaines versus Francis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gaines, who is this?
My witness, my twin sister, Lucinda Gaines.
And your sister is married, but in the process of divorcing the defendant.
Actually, they're already divorced.
When were you divorced?
August 18th, 2022.
Okay. The events surrounding this case happened in November of 2020.
Yes.
Each one of you claim that they were assaulted by the other. In November of 2020, your sister and the defendant were having trouble in their marriage. That be a fair statement?
Yes.
And your sister had complained previously to you that the defendant was trying to get her in trouble, alleging that she assaulted him.
Absolutely.
So on November the 8th, you receive a call from your sister.
No, we was already on the phone, Your Honor.
So you were on the phone with your sister.
Yes.
And I want you to relay the conversation that you had with your sister on that date.
Well, we were just sitting there chatting like we always do. We were just laughing, talking about her schoolwork. I was talking about my schoolwork. We both had tests coming up, so we were just relating to each other in that manner that we always do every day.
Okay, let's go. Move it along.
Anyway, all of a sudden I heard, after an hour of talking to her on the phone, I overheard him say, "Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops." And I was like,
you heard him say, "Let's fight.
Let's do this without the cops. We could fight right now. We could
Just
fight
a second.
right."
I want to be very clear because Whitney is taking, let's do this without
the police.
The police. That you remember.
That I remember.
Don't speak. Let's do this without the police. And what's the next thing you heard him say?
They just started arguing, so...
Just a second. Would you go back, Whitney, please, and tell me what the plaintiff said? She said that he said two things.
Yes, let's fight. Let's do this without the cops.
Let's fight.
Saying that to my sister.
Shh. Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one was it? You said, let's do this without the police. That's one. Or let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one did you hear?
I overheard him say both things to my sister, and I just hung up after that.
What both things?
He said, I didn't have no idea he was there. I said, "Cinda, who's that?" She said, "Dwight." I said, why, what's going on? And then I just hung. She was
What's
like, "Oh,
going on?"
Yeah, and I just hung up. I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna hang up."
Why?
Because they was husband and wife. Maybe it was just something they was just going through. I didn't know.
Now, just a second. Let me explain something to you. I'm beginning to suspect what you're telling me is a whole lot of who shot John. You're on the phone with your sister. You're talking about tests like you're talking about every day, blah, 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 blah. Then you hear something that would cause me concern. You hear, let's fight. Let's do this without the police. And according to you, what you said to me was, so I just hung up.
I said, "Cinda, I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna call you back." She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna handle this."
Just a second. Don't speak.
Yes.
Let's go through it again because now we're getting a different story. Let's do this. Let's do this without the cops. And then what did you say to her and what did she say to you?
I asked her, "Who was that in the background?"
You said, "Who was that in the background?"
And she said, "Dwight." I said, "Oh, I thought he didn't be there anymore."
Okay.
And so she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna handle it. I'm gonna just call you back." So I said, "Okay."
Okay. She said, "Oh, I'm gonna handle it. I'll call you back." So you didn't just hang up. Just a second. You didn't just hang up.
No, I didn't.
You had a
I
continued
didn't really want to
conversation.
hang up, but I hung up because she told me.
You didn't just hang up. You had a conversation with your sister, and your sister said, I'm going to handle it. That's what you said she said to you.
Absolutely. After 20 minutes, I called. So I felt like they got into a fight. Why I felt that way, because
I don't care why
he had her
just a
arrested.
second. Just a second. I don't care why you felt that way.
Yeah.
I don't care what you felt that way.
Because he got her arrested on October 27th, 2020 for assault. I had no idea. I was calling her.
So we had her arrested in October for domestic violence.
Yes, 2020.
And then so a month before, he had her arrested for domestic violence. What happened to that case? Do you know, Miss Gaines? Do you know? The answer is yes or no.
No.
But you know he had her arrested. Okay, so now we're in November. Your sister has clearly allowed him back into the house, right? She didn't say, it's Dwight, he doesn't belong here, I'm going to call the police, because according to you, she's having a pleasant conversation with you. And he's talking, who is that Dwight? Oh, he's here. So you went to your sister's house.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't call the police because you were worried. You went over to your sister's house. Now I want you to tell me exactly what happened. Be careful, because you know, I've been doing this for 50 years. Do you understand?
Yes.
What you're about to tell me, I've heard 100 times, all different kinds of versions, but certain things make sense and certain things don't. Do you understand? So now I'm going to...
I thought the police would be there by the time I got there because my sister told me...
I don't care what you thought. She told you what?
She told me she was going to go to jail and I just
just a minute. We're getting a lot more into this conversation now. Hold on. First we started with I hung up. And then you said, my sister says to me, when
I called back, she said...
Just a second. So you called back and you got her on the phone.
I said,
okay.
Lucretia Gaines claims her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, assaulted her and lied to the police. Dwight is countersuing, claiming he defended himself from Lucretia's attack.
So you waited 20 minutes and you called her back.
Yes.
And you did, in fact, get her on the phone.
Yes, and that's...
Just a second. Now, I want you to go back to what she told me 4 minutes ago with I called.
I did.
And she didn't answer.
She did not answer.
After 20 minutes, I stay home. After 20 minutes, I called. I felt they got into a fight. Why I felt that way? Because he had her arrested. I was just scared
you
for
called
her.
and called. So now you called.
Halfway there, she answered the phone.
You called and she answered.
Yes.
Now I want you to tell me about that conversation before you went over there. I said to her, and she said to me, let's go.
I'm going to jail. She said, well, I'm going to jail now because he called the cops. And then I said, okay, well, because I just felt like she was going to go to jail because she got arrested.
I don't care what you felt.
Anyway, I was only going to get my nephew.
You called her and she said, I'm going to go to jail.
She said he called the cops, so I think
he
I'm going
called
to
the
jail.
cops.
Because
he had a restraining order against her.
Protective order.
Right. And clearly something happened in that 20 minutes between the time you were talking about your tests and the time you got her back on the phone that suggested to you that something had transpired when she said, now I'm going to go to jail. So you went over there because you knew about the protective order because you knew she had gotten arrested in October. So now you go over there to do what?
To grab my nephew because last time I went when she couldn't go back to her home that he moved in with her, he didn't even feed my nephew. And that's what I was afraid of.
Just a second. Is that their child?
No.
You went over there to get your nephew.
Yeah.
Now, what happened when you got there?
When I got
slowly, because right now you see, it doesn't go well.
I know.
You understand?
Understood.
Okay. So now you go over there.
When I got to their home, the defendant was standing outside. I finally pulled up. I saw no cops. So I asked him, why you keep calling the cops on my sister? That's when he took it upon himself to hit me in my face, knock me off the curb, because I guess it needed to fit his narrative. Come to find out, he called the cops and told the cops that my sister called me over there to fight him. Why would I fight for my sister? I shouldn't have went over there, but I did because I was worried about my nephew. She told me to. She asked me to get him the last time. She was like, can you go to the house and grab my nephew?
You left that out 5 minutes ago.
Sorry, because it was so much. And it had been so long ago.
Well, that's why you're supposed to bring a case as soon as you can after the event. The reason I assume you didn't is because COVID struck and they didn't dismiss both of your cases until recently. So neither one of you could have come to civil court. I assume that that's why you waited 2 years. I really don't care. Now, that's what you say happened, that you came over there and got out of the car and calmly said to him, why do you keep calling the cops on my sister?
Yes.
That's what you remember you said to him?
Yes.
Calmly. Why do you?
Calmly, really agitated, because I was home doing my own thing, you know, and it was
Well, I want you to tell me what happened. You got out of the car. Clearly, you're bigger than he is.
Exactly.
Clearly, you're bigger than he is. So is your sister. You got out of the car, and now you're agitated. So you didn't just ask him. You said, why do you keep calling the cops on my sister? And he punched you.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
and knocked me off the curb. I was stuck under the car where he proceeded to keep pounding on me in my head. And I almost lost consciousness, which I did lose consciousness. My hands was all cut up. I have proof from trying to cover the blows, but I had nowhere to move because of...
Just a second. What part of your hand was all cut up?
Both of my hands, because I was trying to hold it, because I was on the concrete.
Just a second. Your knuckles on both hands were cut up.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a defensive wound.
Those are?
No. That's not. No, dear. That's not a defensive wound. This is a defensive wound. This is from hitting somebody.
But I'm trying to grab my hoodie down so he could stop punching me in my face. So that's what was happening, because I was trying to
I still don't understand why you got...
I don't know how...
I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know either. You're going to show me. I'm going to look at all your proof. I'm just examining you first, since there are cross complaints here. You're trying to speak over me.
Sorry.
Yeah, clearly you're not intimidated by your surroundings. That's her version of the events. She came over to the house and she asked you why you keep calling the cops on my sister. And you punched her and kept punching her until she almost lost consciousness. Now, you want to tell me your version of these events?
Okay.
How long, by the way, had you been in the apartment with her sister?
6 or 7 years.
No. You had her arrested in October. So clearly she was arrested and she was out of the house. Is it your house or her house?
Her house. She wasn't out the house.
So she was arrested and you were both still living in the house together?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Since October?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were there and she was there?
Same way, Your Honor.
Same way?
Yes.
She was released by the police and you were there, she was there, and her son?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes, it's a partial.
Don't speak.
Okay.
So when you said, what's Dwight doing there, you clearly didn't know that they were still living together.
No.
Good. So now you tell me your version of the events of November 8th, 2020. Tell me what happened with...
Lucinda was keep coming at me.
How did she keep coming at you?
Like coming up in my face, like she want to fight with me. And I never want to fight at all.
That is not true.
If you say one more word, I'm going to throw you out. Do you understand?
That wasn't me. That was her.
Oh, you're easy. You're going to be gone. Did you call the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you call the police before Miss Gaines got there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So now you called the police, and clearly she heard it.
Yes, Your Honor.
And she said to you, I'm going to get arrested. That's what you said.
Because it was a...
Did you say something?
Lucretia Gaines has accused her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, of assaulting her and lying to the police. Dwight is countersuing Lucretia, claiming she assaulted him.
So you called the police and you went outside.
I went outside first before I called the police.
You went outside and called the police from outside?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
When I called the police, I stepped down to the sidewalk and I was there waiting for the police to come. I heard a car speed come around, hear her yelling, I hope you're not calling the cops. I said, of course I'm calling the cops. She pulled over to the side and come up towards me, ready to fight with me. I never want to fight. I turned my head around She was already there in front of me, sizing me up, and I just make a mistake and look around. And by the time I made that mistake and look around, she knocked me over.
And?
I saw her about to hit me again. When I hit her, she fall, and I ran off, try to escape. She get back up and running me down. I couldn't run no more because I was going towards the hospital direction where I was going. When she caught up with me, the cops turned up.
Okay. May I see the police report, please?
I have one.
Well, it's practically impossible to determine which one of you instigated the physical part of this altercation. Each of you claimed that the other threw the first blow. Listen carefully to what I'm saying. That's what she says, and you said that she hit you first. So it's impossible to determine who hit who first. However, the police report is very telling. It says that when the police arrived, they found you on Kensington Street. And you told the police, you're Lucretia.
Yes.
Said Francis, that would be him, began to walk down Kensington Street. So the fight had begun, and he got up and started to walk away towards Chapel Street, which is consistent with what he said. And Lucretia said she ran after Francis and began fighting with him until the police arrived. That's what the police report says.
I can show you. I couldn't even run. I had torn meniscus.
Just a second.
There's no way.
I'm telling you what the police wrote in their report that you told them. And it's totally consistent with what he said, that he was trying to walk away.
I was running.
After he beat me up.
Listen to me. You went over there furious.
I wasn't furious.
Oh, yeah.
Just
a second. You went over there furious.
Absolutely not.
Your Honor,
Absolutely not.
Can I tell my story, please?
Can you tell your story?
Yes, please.
Oh, be my pleasure. I got a couple of questions to ask you as long as you want to testify. Okay. There is no indication here from you to the police or any other authority that he ever put his hands on you. What you complain about him is that he's disrespectful, he taunts you, he says nasty things to you, he calls you names.
Yes.
In response to that, you assault him.
No, I don't, ma'am.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
He had me falsely arrested. Yes, he's small in stature, but I don't know how he keep manipulating the system. This man is dangerous.
You have to understand something. You told the police that he doesn't...
We never had a physical altercation. That's why I don't know where he's getting these things from. It's like once he found out we were going to divorce, he didn't want to leave the house. So that's why he kept having to try to put a case on me.
All may be true.
Yes.
There is no indication here, as a matter of fact, quite the contrary, that he ever put his hands on you.
He never put his hands on me, and I never placed a hand on him.
Your sister did. Now you can sit down.
Go.
Can I just tell you how we even got here?
No.
All I want to say.
No, I'm just telling you. I don't care how you got here. This happened 2.5, 3 years ago, and the reason that you're here is because of an incident that had in its beginnings you going to a place where you had no right to be.
Can I please show you the medical reports? Because there's no way I ran down the street.
Just a second. I'm going to read what you told the police. After a brief verbal altercation, Francis punched her in the face. They both began fighting in the middle of the street. Francis then began to walk down Kensington Street towards Chapel Street. Lucretia said she ran after Francis and began fighting with him until the police arrived. Okay, your case is dismissed.
All right.
Now, you have any medical records of your injuries?
Yes,
I'd
Your
like
Honor.
to see them.
I have scar to it.
Just a second, I'd like to see them.
I'm telling you, I did not run after him. How can I run? How can I run after him if my knee, a torn meniscus?
Do you want me to play the tape of you walking through the door into the courtroom? Yes, you did.
I could walk, yeah, but I'm still
right,
in
you
pain
did.
for the rest of
I
my
can
life.
play the tape back for you if you like.
Surgery, Your Honor.
Not only is the case going to be dismissed, but because I see you can't control yourself. Even in a courtroom, you can't control yourself. I'm hearing his case now. He's got a cross complaint. And as far as I'm concerned, you were the aggressor. You went there.
I did.
To a potentially aggressive situation by yourself.
Yeah,
by yourself.
She had something in her hand too. I never see what it was, but I know she threw it away.
Do you think I need your help?
Okay.
Forget it. Telling you, this man is dangerous. You'll see he'll be arrested again.
See what I mean? You can't control yourself. You want me to believe that you got out of the car and calmly said, why are you calling the police on my sister? Somebody who can't control themselves in a courtroom. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $5,000. Your claim is dismissed.
All right, thanks.
Court is adjourned.
I'm just sad about the whole situation because I feel like I should have won this case.
Everything is in facts, and that's how it happened. It was the truth.
I just figured she was going to jail, so I just wanted to get my nephew and leave.
I want to be a good parent.
It goes on. He's manipulating the system, and it shows.
That whole case just seemed like a mess all the way around. I think the plaintiff went there maybe a little hotter than she was ready to admit. I think the police report seemed enlightening after you took a look at that and read her own account of what she told the officer. And, you know, he didn't seem like Prince Charming either, though. So I'm annoyed that you gave him the judgment. I agree with it because it was so unclear.
I gave him the judgment, actually.
Because she couldn't control herself. I knew.
Because you're in a courtroom setting and you try to take somebody's demeanor in a courtroom setting, which is intimidating. I mean, I'm intimidating. I know that I'm intimidating. Couldn't control herself.
Yeah.
You know, you have to couple the law with common sense. He's no doll, for sure. But he extricated himself from the house because according to her,
and then down the street.
he was outside when she got there. The police report was clear. He again tried to extricate himself by walking away. And when the police arrived, they were fighting on the street. Again, because she had caught up with him. She said she went there to get her nephew. You can call the police and say, I think there's going to be a problem. Would you take me over there? There's a domestic case. But she went over there hot. And the reason he was awarded money is because she couldn't control herself, even here. There was no question in my mind that she was the aggressor.
No, I agree.
Okay, and you heard a crash in your house.
Shattering, yes.
You went over to wake her up. You were mad. And you broke his window. You'd been fighting with him all day.
I'm guessing so.
The glass wasn't broken when you went to sleep, right?
She was...
I'm not asking you anything. You don't have to be a genius to connect these dots.
This is Judy Justice. John Morrow is suing the defendant, Joshua Lease, for trespassing and vandalizing his home.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3111, Morrow versus Lease.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Morrow, your girlfriend's name is Skylar.
Correct.
And that would be Skylar.
Correct.
This young woman's name is Brittany. Brittany was a very good friend with Skylar. And this is Brittany's boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I gather was you and your girlfriend on September the 1st had a disagreement.
Something like that.
Do you and Brittany live together?
Yes, we do currently.
On September 1st, were you living together?
No.
When did you move in together?
Not long after the whole incident, probably about a month or so after.
Tell me about the incident that happened that caused Brittany to flee and go to the plaintiff's home.
Sure.
And, Kevin, I would like you to show Brittany to the waiting room outside.
This way, please.
All right, Mr. Lease. Now I'd like you to tell me what happened between you and Brittany on September 1st.
She had gone out drinking with Skylar and Mr. Morrow. I was upset that she went out drinking because we had alternate plans.
Okay, just a minute. Had you been working?
I had worked.
And when you came home, how did you find out that she was out with...
She told me. She said, I went out drinking.
How did you communicate? In
phone.
By phone?
Via text.
Just a second.
Back
By
and
text.
forth.
So you came home from work.
Mm-hmm. She said, we're done. We're coming in. It was later on that night. It had to be a couple hours after I took a shower, and said, that she was coming over to the house.
To your house?
Because she knew I was upset, that she had gone out drinking. She was intoxicated, so I was upset.
Oh, just a second. She said she was intoxicated.
Well, just because of the text message change, you could hear, the drinking. You can kind of tell somebody's getting inebriated.
Why don't you show me the text messages on your phone?
Of our back and forth?
Yes.
I had gotten a new
Everybody
phone.
gets a new phone. Everybody gets a new phone. You know how long I've had my phone? It still has a button on it.
Still a flip?
Yeah. Find the text messages so that I can see them.
Months.
We have the exact date, September 1st, 2023.
That was of the incident, correct?
Mm-hmm. Kevin, would you have, please, the witness find that communication starting in September?
She would probably have it before I would.
Just a second.
Yep. You have to ask her. Stop that. October 15th.
Skylar, did Brittany communicate with you by text or by phone?
By text.
Okay. While I'm taking the rest of his testimony, would you check your phone, please, to see what the messages are on your phone for September 1st? Would you do that? Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Lees. So you were annoyed because, as far as I believe you testified, you could tell that she was inebriated and getting drunker by her text messages. What prompted her to come to your house?
Because she wanted to see me. She wanted to come over.
She was going to come to your house.
And which she did.
She did? And what time did your girlfriend get to your house?
It was late. It was midnight-ish.
Did she come into your house?
Yes, she came in.
Just a second. Did you let her in, or did she have her own key?
No, she don't have her own key.
So you let her in?
Yes, because she
Now I want you to start from the point when you let her in the house.
I just was upset with her.
I want you to tell me. Upset is a state of mind. I want you to tell me what she said to you and what you said to her.
She wanted to stay the night. She was obviously, trying to sleep over. And I was still upset. She said, fine, I'm going to John's house.
That's all that happened?
And she said, if you want to come over, you're more than welcome over. I'll be sleeping in the front room.
Okay. So you were upset. What did you say when you were upset to her?
I just wanted space. I was irritated at this point, and I worked.
So you said you wanted space?
Yeah.
Now, she was going over to this gentleman's house where her friend was. Is not an answer.
Ma'am.
And she left, and she drove to John's house.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened next?
After she had left, I had left not that far behind her because I was more concerned about her safety. As I sat there, I was like, she shouldn't be driving right now. So as concerned, I left about 10, 15 minutes behind her. And when I got there, I had stopped getting responses. So it was to the point of like, well, what's going on?
Well, this was about midnight. That's what you said. And you
she had left like an hour after. We sat there for a little bit and talked.
Oh, well, you forgot to tell me that.
Yeah. Well,
You sort of forgot to tell me that. You said you wanted space.
I did. I was just over the night and everything. It was a long night at work.
So now we're at 1 o'clock. Because if you said you
My
chatted...
time frames might be off a little bit here.
They better get straight, sir. You've been in court before?
In the past.
In the past.
As a young one.
Okay. So, it's important that you remember, and you've had some time to remember because, according to you, you weren't drunk. You had just come home from work. So you should be clear-headed. So you did chat with her for an hour. Tell her how upset you were, and she wanted to stay. And you're all right, then I'm going to John. It happened in a very civilized fashion. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
She can't take down
I'm sorry.
Okay. And she stopped responding to you. At some point, when you tried to text her, she was in John's house.
Yes.
That's what you said.
Yes.
What happened next?
And then I got irritated that, she stopped responding. I just said, well, screw it. I should go home. I was getting eaten up by mosquitoes. And she did say, come knock on the window if I fall asleep to wake me up if you want me to come back over.
Just a second. When did she say that to you? Before or after you told her that you weren't interested in her staying for the night?
She said, if you change your mind, come knock on the window. I'll be in the front room.
She said that by text?
No, in person, in front of my garage as she was leaving.
Do I look stupid? Is there a sign here?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you've been texting each other, but that she told you she said, come and wake me up
If you change your mind.
by knocking at the window.
Because I didn't want to have sex. I was irritated.
Well, what did you want to have when you went over to his house at 3 o'clock in the morning?
I kind of want to apologize for being a...
Okay, so this is what the case is about. He broke the window in your house,
Correct.
and you wanted him to pay for the repair of the window.
Correct.
Got it. Simple as that.
Should be.
Now you can bring in Brittany.
Morrow claims the defendant, Joshua Lease, is responsible for breaking his bedroom window. Joshua says he touched the window, but it did not break.
Thanks. Okay, Brittany, you stand next to Mr. Lease. Okay. I have a few questions for you. Mr. Lease tells me that the two of you were not living together on September 1st. Is that right?
Correct.
And that night on September 1st, Mr. Lease was working.
Correct.
What time does he usually get home?
I can't remember the day it is. Normally Tuesday, Wednesdays, he does work 14 hours. Sometimes on Thursdays, he does work 14 hours also, but I can.
Do you remember? I don't want to
Sorry,
hear.
no.
I don't want you to open your mouth.
Yes, ma'am.
That night he was coming home later.
Correct.
And you decided to go out with your friend and her boyfriend.
Correct.
What time did you leave?
Around possibly 6 or 7.
Were you staying at Mr. Lease's house?
At the time, I was actually staying with my roommate. I was over her house. I may have stopped at his house just for a few minutes.
He wasn't home?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So now we're at about 6. You went out for dinner?
Dinner, a few drinks.
And how did you communicate with Mr. Lease that you were out for the evening with your friend and her boyfriend?
I was just letting him know that I was going over to her house and I would be there soon.
And you were communicating with him by text message?
Correct.
You have your text messages for that night?
I tried to scroll back to that night. I couldn't bring up anything because it was so many text messages are in there. I couldn't bring it up. I just kept scrolling.
Okay. So you texted him that you were out for dinner and a few drinks. And what did he say to you in the text?
I can't remember at the time of what.
Was he
we were
happy
saying.
that you were out with John and Skylar?
Well, we had a little disagreement.
Careful. I know everything.
Okay.
I want you to know that I know everything. Was he happy that you were out with John and Skylar?
No.
What did he text you?
He was sending me messages to not come back until I was ready to come home the next day. So that's what I did.
You didn't go over to his house?
I did go over to his house after we got done going out. I did, yes.
Yes. You went over to his house?
Correct.
And what time did you get there?
I want to say it was around 12 a.m., 1 a.m.
Okay. And what happened when you got there?
He politely asked me to leave, and I tried telling him, like I wanted to try and work it out with him. And he politely asked me to leave again, and I continued to stay there, trying to, overbear him with everything that was going on.
Like what?
Of us arguing, of me going out with them.
What was wrong with going out with them? No, look at me. Brittany, I'm asking you a question. What was wrong with going out with your friend and her boyfriend? What did he say was wrong with you going out?
I was too intoxicated at the time.
Is that what he said to you?
I believe so.
Were you drunk?
I was.
Did you drive to his house?
Before
you
we
drive
went
to
out.
his house at
Yes.
12 o'clock?
Yes.
Drunk?
No, I was not drunk.
Well, just a second. You either were drunk or you weren't drunk. You said he was mad because I was too intoxicated, and you drove there. Were you drunk or were you not drunk? Now you're not drunk.
I was drunk. I was
okay. So
very
you
much
drove
drunk.
So you drove drunk.
Correct.
And he told you to leave.
He did.
Politely.
Politely.
Just a second.
Politely at first, yes. Politely.
I just want to tell you who you're dealing with. I'm 80 years old, plus one. This is not stupid. How did he tell you to leave?
At first, he nicely asked me to leave. And then I kept going. on and on, continuing to ask him if I could stay, if I could stay. And it kept making him upset. It made him upset, which is understandable. I get that. And then
what?
I told
You're
him
getting red in the chest. Be careful.
I told him that I would just leave and I would go back to their house and stay.
When he got upset, what happened?
When I told him I was leaving?
No, before you wouldn't leave, when he got upset. Do you remember what you texted your friend Skylar?
No, I don't.
Well, Skylar has it on her phone. Kevin, can I see the...
So this is from lunchtime to...
Well, you had been fighting with him all day. You'd been fighting with him all day. That's what you told her.
I'm guessing so. I don't...
What do you mean you're guessing so? That's what you told her. Am I reading this wrong? You weren't fighting with John.
No.
You were fighting with him all day.
I don't remember anything that I had said.
What's your first name?
Mine?
Yours.
Joshua.
Me and Josh have been fighting all night and day. I really don't want to sit around and think about anything. I've had 2 hours sleep, and that's it. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
She tells you to need clothes. I can see if I have anything in this bag, but I doubt I do. I'm crying. I'm trying to calm down before I get there. Does that sound familiar?
I don't remember.
You're literally dumb. You'll let your man hit you, and you won't call the police. That sound familiar?
I don't remember any of the messages.
Stand up, please.
John Morrow has accused the defendant, Joshua Lease, of breaking his bedroom window. Joshua claims John is overcharging him for a window he did not break.
Did you say to your friend Skylar he wants to resolve it, and he was saying he would literally give John money to help fix it? He just wants everything dropped because the police were called, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And this is you talking, correct?
Correct.
He was just trying to come wake me up to talk and apologize to me, and didn't think when he knocked on the window it was that hard. He said he truly didn't mean it at all and has repeatedly said he's sorry. Is that what you said to your friend Skylar?
Correct.
All righty. And then the response is, Brittany, he wrapped his hand around a blank shirt to punch the window out. He was just knocking. Are you blank kidding me? Are you guys getting back together? And you respond, he said he didn't wrap it up at all. He just said he just had it in his hand and didn't even use that hand. It was the opposite one. And I don't know. I told him things need to be resolved and things need to get fixed. If Johnny could just drop everything, I would be happy. Josh is going to make everything right. Now, how did you know Josh is going to make everything right? Because you spoke to him.
Correct.
And he told you he was going to make everything right with the window. He just didn't want the police involved anymore. I'm listening.
Correct.
All righty. What's the issue, Josh? You went over to wake her up. You were mad. And you broke his window.
The window wasn't broken when I went there.
So your girlfriend's a liar.
I'm not saying she's a liar. That's what I was pressed. They were like, either you're going to...
No. I'm not talking about the police. I'm talking to you about what you said to your girlfriend. She says you told her you're just going to make it right.
Yeah.
You'll make everything right. You just don't want the police involved.
He was upset. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I was trying to make everyone happy. I'm trying to be a peacemaker here with this.
All right. You were awakened, I don't know, it says 3 o'clock in the morning. Is that the time it was?
It was about 4:51 a.m.
Okay, and you heard a crash in your house?
Shattering, yes.
Okay, and what did you do?
The house. Jumped up out of bed. We were dead asleep. Couldn't tell where it came from, so she started searching the rooms to see what happened. Brittany came out of her room. We asked her if her window was okay. She said, yeah. So I'm checking all the other windows throughout the house. Can't find anything. Finally, I go into Brittany's room, and there's glass all over the bed she was sleeping in, because the window was right next to the bed.
Now you remember that? That sound familiar? Brittany, pay careful attention. I have the phone. Does it sound familiar that there was broken glass in the room where you were sleeping?
Correct.
All right. Perfect. The glass wasn't broken when you went to sleep, right?
She was.
I'm not asking you anything. The glass wasn't broken when you went to sleep, was it?
Correct.
You remember Johnny coming down to look to see what the noise was? Yes. You remember Johnny coming down in the early morning to see what had happened?
Yes.
Do you remember him going into your room?
Yes, but that was after, like, we searched the entire house.
He searched with you. And then when he went into your room, where you had been sleeping, I assume, the window that was broken was in your room.
Correct.
All righty. You don't have to be a genius to connect these dots. I have a great-grandchild who's going to be a year old tomorrow. He could connect these dots. How much did it cost to fix the window?
The replacement window was $81.20.
You have the...
I do. It was 2 payments in yellow.
$2,081.
Correct.
Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. You better rethink this. I'm telling you, you better rethink it. For your own sake, you better rethink it.
This court is adjourned.
I didn't break the window. And $2,100 for a window in Florida, that's not impact proof. That's insane.
I think the judge was very fair and could see through their lies and their story of what happened that night.
I just not just a casual knock, and maybe my bracelet hairline fractured it, but I didn't break that window when I left there.
Yeah, well, it was definitely broken. We have pictures and video of it as well.
I'm happy it's behind me. It's outrageous, $2,180 for a window. That's unheard of.
I think instead of running around breaking windows at 4 a.m., he should probably get a second job so he could afford his actions.
It should be bulletproof for that price.
Thank you, Judy Justice.
Thank you.
So to all the young ladies out there, there are warning signs. And sometimes the need to nest, which most women have, obscures your good judgment. But if you have to flee somebody once, it should be the only time.
Sure. Even if they get annoyed at you going out for dinner and drinks with your friend and her boyfriend. Or partner, you know, red flag. That's the first one.
That doesn't jive with, I came home from work, 8:30, 9 o'clock. I was tired. I worked 14-hour day. And then you're up 4 o'clock in the morning because you've been texting back and forth, which both people conveniently couldn't find. Interesting that the witness could find it. But she seems like a mild young lady, Brittany.
Shouldn't be with someone who breaks windows by accident.
And who's familiar with courts.
Yeah.
So beware.
Yeah.
They sometimes the need to nest shouldn't interfere with your own gut reaction. Somebody.
Yeah,
anyway,
I agree.
I hope she's smart.
Hopefully it works out.
Life.
Pajaro is suing his ex-girlfriend, Gigi Strackman, for a plane ticket, credit card charges, and a stolen cat.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2016, Pajaro versus Strackman.
Mr. Perari, it is your claim that the defendant, who lived with you for a brief period of time, owes you money for a plane ticket and for her unauthorized use of your credit card.
That's correct.
I don't know what the defense is to this, except that I think her defense is that you were just stupid and she took advantage of you. No. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm actually trying to figure it out. But you met the defendant, according to you, on an online dating app and started a conversation with her on what date?
So we met in March 2020 on a dating app for LGBTQ people. We started dating in March 2020. 4 months later, she moved in with me, which I know is not smart, but...
July?
Yes, in July 2020.
And where had she been living?
She had been living in Florida.
And where do you live?
I live in Seattle, Washington.
Did you send her money for a plane ticket? How did she get to you?
She had money herself at that time to cover the cost of moving.
So she moved, and it was her own funds that she used to move?
Yeah, the swindling hadn't started yet.
You must have had some substantial What is this? What is this look? I don't know what this look is.
Oh, it's just the verbiage.
Okay, well, let me go back and let me start with you, okay? Because there's only one theatrical person here in this room, and that's me. Do you understand?
I do.
Yes. I get paid the big bucks to be theatrical. Okay, so Miss Strackman, you lived in Miami. He lived in Seattle, Washington. You decided to move in with him. What kind of work were you doing in Seattle?
I was a video editor, but when COVID happened, everyone kind of lost their jobs.
And what arrangements did you make with him when you were going to move in with him?
He told me that if I gave up my life in Florida, I had a very lovely apartment, lots of friends.
You had a lovely apartment, you had
I
nice
gave up
friends,
everything to
but
go
no
and
job.
move to Seattle.
Okay, so he said, move to Seattle and I'll take care of you.
Yes.
That's what you say in here.
Yes.
And that was in July of 2020.
Yes.
Is that about what you said to her?
No. The reason she moved in, again, it was 4 months after we started dating, which normally...
Had you seen her during those 4 months?
We had Zoom.
That's either yes or no.
No.
No, you had no
virtually.
physical contact with her?
No.
Okay.
But because we were in lockdown and we were both pretty isolated, it made sense. Her lease was ending and things moved really fast between us, so we decided to try it together. Yeah.
Okay. Was there any discussion about what she was going to do once she got to Seattle?
Yeah. So as she stated, she was a freelance video editor, and she said she was going to potentially have more work in Seattle and continue to try and find gigs for that or find other employment, drive for Uber Eats.
But she came to you and she wasn't working?
She wasn't working, no.
Okay. And the relationship with her ended in what month?
It ended in February 2021.
So it was a relatively short live-in period, maybe 6-7 months.
Right, because of her.
Did she ever work when she was with you?
Not that I
Just a second, I'm going to ask her. Did you ever have full-time gainful employment during the time that you lived with the plaintiff?
I did not. I was not supposed to.
I didn't ask you. I don't ask to be editorialized. I asked you, did you ever work full-time?
No.
Did you ever work part-time?
No.
Okay. Then there came a time, according to what I read in both of your papers, that he purchased a plane ticket for you to go back to Miami. That would be a yes.
That is correct. You're right.
And what month was that?
That was in February of 2021.
And tell me, in your own words, what you told him as to why you wanted to go to Miami, because he wasn't going with you.
He was not going with me.
Tell me what you told him as to why you needed to go to Miami.
I told him that I needed to visit my sister.
And does your sister live in Miami?
Yes.
Had you been there to visit her before?
I had, yeah.
While you were living with him?
No. I didn't travel.
So this was the first time you wanted to go and visit your sister?
Yes.
Okay, was there any specific reason that you gave him as to why you wanted to go visit your sister?
She was sick and I wanted to be there.
But did you tell him what she was sick with?
Yeah, it was COVID.
Does she live alone?
At the time, yes.
You know, it's not going to be easy. It's going to get harder. Now, the plaintiff seems like a relatively intelligent human being. Hands off hips. If somebody I lived with say, I want to go and see, unless it was a young child, maybe in a school or something that lived alone in an attic dormer, I want to go see my sister who's sick with COVID, and you don't have COVID, and this is 2021, I would say, well, why would you do that and put yourself at risk and then come back and put me at risk? Didn't you have that conversation?
We didn't, Your Honor, no. It just didn't come up.
I want to go take care of my sister because she has COVID? What about isolation? Did you ever hear about that?
I did hear about that. I spent a lot
Well, what do you think that means?
Isolation means not traveling.
No, isolation means you're not supposed to be around other people if you test positive for COVID. If you're sick, stay at home. You don't travel cross country to be with somebody who's sick. But it doesn't make any difference, actually, because you should have picked up on that or whatever, because you didn't really want this ticket, according to what I read, Miss Strackman, to go and visit your sick sister. You needed this ticket because you had started to become involved with a boyfriend who was in jail in Florida.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. So that's a yes, which you didn't tell him. So you took the money from him for, let's just start with the ticket, under false pretenses.
I did, but I...
Just a second. That's all. I did. Not a but. Not a little. I did take the money from him under false pretenses when you went to Florida. He said you needed it for one thing, And in fact, you didn't. That's the false pretenses. How much was the ticket?
The ticket was for $427.40.
Okay. And when you went to Florida, Miss Strackman, and you stayed in a hotel, motel, what did you stay in?
I stayed in a hotel.
And whose charge account did you use for the hotel?
Yenny had given me a credit card.
That's not what I asked you. That's a name. Whose credit card did you use when you stayed at the hotel?
The plaintiff, Yenny's.
Mm-hmm. And that was by pre-arrangement with him that you were going to stay in a hotel rather than with your sister?
No, but I had the credit card for...
Now, that's not what I mean. Let's go back. You had the credit card. I'm assuming for the purpose of this question that what you say, and I don't know if it's true, but assuming for this question that what you say in your answer is accurate, that he gave you a credit card to use for your necessaries and expenses for emergencies.
Yes.
Yes. You would agree that going to visit secretly another boyfriend in Miami is not a necessity.
You would agree that Yenny cheating on me was not a necessity.
No. But did you use his credit card?
I did, and I believe that human love and kindness.
Okay, just a second. That's it. Do I look like I need help from you? If you had given him, Miss Strackman, a credit card, I want you to try to take everything else from out of your mind. If you had given him your credit card and said, I'm giving this to you because I said to you I would take care of you when we lived together if you didn't have a job. Let's say I believe that. I'm not so sure, but let's say I believe that. You would agree that going to see another boyfriend across the country was not a necessity for him. Or for me, or for Whitney,
for you, no,
or for Sarah.
For me, I'm a woman with needs. I need dopamine, I need love, I need connection, and I wasn't getting that from Yenny. So it was a necessity that I went to go visit another man. Yenny had other girls as well on the side.
But you didn't, just a second, Miss Strackman, you didn't pay for the other girls. You didn't pay for his other girls.
I paid emotionally.
Oh, you said, what an idiot.
James, his ex-girlfriend, Gigi Strackman, owes for the cost of a plane ticket, credit card charges, and stealing his cat. Gigi says they were all necessary expenses for her.
Now, you should feel so lucky that you got off so cheap.
I think you should assume everything that comes out of her mouth.
No. Yeah.
Because if I had, I wouldn't be here.
I get who I'm dealing with,
Yes.
sir. $427 for the flight ticket. How much was the credit card?
The credit card. Also, there's an incident with my cat as well, which
just a second.
I'll address later.
Well, I'm going to get to that in a minute. That's your least strong suit, but it sort of tells me again who I'm dealing with. Okay. How much did she use on the credit card in Miami?
Okay.
So only in Miami.
Right. In Miami, she spent $1,000 on...
Now, just a second. Is that a sheet from your credit card company?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Easier.
Would you like me to add the $427 for the flight ticket?
Yeah. Let's separate the two for me now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Giving you start, just show me where the bills are.
So those are two separate credit card statements because she used it in 2 separate months. One of those is when she initially started using it, which was...
I don't care when she initially started. Let's understand.
Yeah.
She got your credit card.
Yes.
I only want to see the charges from Miami.
Okay. It's the one that says bail bonds, the bigger charge, which was...
Just circle.
Okay.
How much?
That was for $1,000, but overall it was...
No, $1,000. We're going to do it this way. $1,000 bail bonds.
Yes.
Okay, next.
And then she spent $262.50 at a hotel for both of them.
$250 for a hotel.
And then she spent $105 on a fancy dinner for her and her lover.
And her what?
And her lover.
Okay, 150?
150 is not fancy. That's the kind of person you're dealing with.
150. I don't think there's a question before you, madam. 10, 4, $1,400 there. Is that close?
Including the 1,000?
Including the 1,000, but then not including the 425. So it would be 1,827.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. Now let's get to the final issue. So that takes care of your plane ticket and the credit card while she was in Miami. Now let's talk about the cat. Ms. Strackman, you moved in with the plaintiff July of 20.
Yes.
And when you moved in with the plaintiff, did he have a cat?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And what was that cat's name?
That cat's name was Momo.
And you lived with him a total of approximately 6 months.
Yes, Your Honor. And during that time, the cat...
No, I didn't ask you any questions. There's no question before you. There's no question before you. I have dates. You moved in, you lived with him for 6 months. When you moved in, the cat was there. And if you recall, in what month and year had you gotten the cat?
I got Momo right before she moved in with me as an emotional support animal, which is legally protected.
When you say right before she moved in with you, give me the month.
It was.
And where did you get the cat from?
June 2020. I adopted her from a shelter.
So you didn't have the cat long?
No.
When she moved in?
No.
And then the two of you had the cat?
Yes.
Okay,
but
great.
The cat was
and then when she, just a second, then when she left in February of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We are now in August of 2022, and you recently filed this case with regard to your cat.
Right. I didn't know where she was.
Just
she
a second.
Disappeared.
I don't care.
Okay.
You recently filed this case with regard to the cat. Did you make a police report when she left with the cat?
I don't.
The answer is either yes or no.
I don't like involving the police, so no. I didn't want to ruin her life.
Oh, well, I want to tell you something. I have a small 4-pound dog at home. I love that creature more than anything in the world, except my grandchildren, my husband, and my children. Hope there are enough life rafts for everybody, including the dog.
I did try to hire a private investigator in Florida, but I didn't know where she was.
Okay, you didn't report it to the police, and I do have a problem with that. Now, Ms. Strackman, you knew when you moved into him he had this cat that he had adopted.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to tell me what led you to believe you had the legal right to take that cat?
Because that cat had become severely bonded to me. Yenny was neglecting both of us, both of the women in his life he chose to neglect.
Because I was working and
No, just a second. Don't.
Sorry, I paid for everything.
And so the cat.
So he was neglecting the cat and you, so you decided maybe half a neglect, you could be one whole person.
Exactly. Me and her just getting out of here and gonna go start a new life together. I spent day and night with that cat. That cat was extremely bonded to me. She would be devastated without me.
Tell me how the cat died in your custody. Tell me how the cat died in your custody. That's not a smile story.
It's not. No, it's absolutely devastating. I am completely torn up about it. Unfortunately, my boyfriend's dog was not accustomed to cats and mistook her for a toy, and she did not survive that.
What kind of a dog does your boyfriend have?
We don't know the breed. I've never done the genetic testing.
Do you have a picture of the dog?
I do not. I didn't bring any.
Yeah,
so I was
good.
hoping you just used.
You just brought your smile.
Intuition.
Okay.
She's not with her boyfriend.
She said, I didn't ask you a question. There's no question before you.
Love transcends bars, Annie.
Okay. 1827, $1,000 for taking his cat, and because you're a fool. 7, 2, 8, 2827. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're done here.
This court is adjourned.
First of all, I'm glad, and I think justice was served. I'm not for Momo, but for the other scams that Jacqueline pulled.
Then I need dopamine, I need oxytocin, I need love, I need care.
Well, credit card fraud.
And Yenny said that they were going to be the person who was going to give that to me.
Deception, played with my heart.
And then didn't, so I had to find it elsewhere.
It was incredibly, this was Momo.
I did not have the cat killed. I was very attached to Momo. That was my cat as well.
It was incredibly hard to deal with. I was also alone when I had to process that news, so.
I did not set a hitman out on the cat. That's a lot to say.
She saw me as a sugar daddy, and she saw herself as a wannabe Anna Nicole Smith. Unfortunately, neither of us are those things.
Could I plead the fifth on finding another sugar daddy?
Yet another lesson we learned about cohabitants living together and the rules of what not to do. No cars, no pets, no money exchanges.
No joint pets, no joint.
Exactly. But today we learned
shares.
a new one. Today, don't give access to your credit card to anyone that you don't want racking up charges for any purpose, even to visit a secondary lover in another state.
You know, the divorce rate in this country is still hovering somewhere around 50%. The living togethers who don't quite make it to the marriage place is a much greater number.
Yeah.
Living togethers don't stay together 70% of the time. Why in the world would you buy a pet together?
It's a risk.
Car together? A timeshare together?
True.
Or give somebody a credit card.
Yeah.
At the time that you do it, you're happy with them. But since at least 70% of the time you're going to go your own separate ways, at that time you're mad at each other.
And the lines get blurry.
And the lines get blurry, absolutely.
Case number 2024, Morgan versus Davis. All parties please step forward.
Corey Morgan is suing dress designer Jacqueline Davis for party costs and a dress deposit.
Ms. Morgan, this is what this case is about in a nutshell. You were celebrating a birthday. When was your birthday?
March 24th.
And you always make a big deal, according to you, about your birthday. It's a very important day of the year for you and for everybody who knows you.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the way Sarah feels, actually. Me, I sort of like to forget birthdays now. I like it to run right by that day as undercovered as possible. Anyway, you celebrate your birthday with a big party.
Right.
And according to you, you get a spectacular dress for this party, invite everybody that you know and care about. How many people were you having for your birthday party?
It was going to be about 12 people.
Where was it going to be held?
It was going to be at the James Harden restaurant.
Who was going to be there?
My best friend from Chicago, my mom, my dad, just an intimate setting of family and friends.
Mom, dad, your best friend from Chicago. Who else?
Just family, cousins, aunt.
And you couldn't get the restaurant for that day, so you made it in April on a different day than your birthday.
Yes, I originally booked it in January 18th. The restaurant, it's a big deal, so yeah.
Whatever. It was postponed until what date?
Yes, ma'am, April.
Jacqueline Davis is responsible for party costs and a dress deposit. Jacqueline is countersuing, claiming Corey owes for travel costs.
And you ordered your dress from the defendant. You found her through a mutual friend because she makes wonderful clothes. The defendant also is a tax preparer, I understand. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So she's busy. So she makes clothes. She's a tax preparer in season. You made arrangements with her to make your dress, and she was going to make your dress at the cost of $300. According to you, you didn't get your dress in time. It was never fitted at all after your initial measurements were taken. Is that correct?
Yes.
And since you didn't have the dress for your dinner, you had a terrible birthday, you canceled your birthday, and you want her to pay for the dinner.
Yes. Just the build up.
That's Miss Morgan. How old are you?
I just made 35, so it was the build up leading to it.
So if you turned 35, I'm a lot older. Sarah's younger, and my other grandchildren, were around that age. I have one that's close to your age. I cannot imagine any of my older grandchildren, or me, for instance, canceling an event because I didn't have just the right dress. I mean, it's not as if a bride is canceling her wedding because she didn't have a wedding dress to wear. Of course, if you want to get married badly enough, you put a sack over your head with a tie and you walk down the aisle. But you don't cancel the wedding. So you want her to pay for the deposit that you made on the dress.
Yeah, it was.
And another $1,000 or more because you didn't have a nice party.
So originally when I booked it, it was for April 1st. When I tried to rebook it because she told me at the last minute that she was not going to be able to do the dress, which was the week of. I had originally set up for her to do the dress so I could have something to wear. I purchased shoes, nails, everything.
I understand everything. She's not going to pay you for the party. You should have worn something else for the party. Believe me, your best friend from Chicago, your mother and your father would not have cared if you wore that dress or any other dress. You should not be out a penny.
I was out of penny.
Well, you were out $150. You gave her $150. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I gave it back to her. I sent her a refund.
Oh, you did send her a refund?
Yes.
Did you? Just a second. Up. When did you send her a refund, Miss Davis?
I sent her a refund on March 29th. She requested a refund on March 28th, and I sent it directly to her.
To her on March 29th?
Yes.
How did you send it, by check or?
She sent me the money via Cash App, and I returned it via Cash App.
Do you have verification of that?
Yes, I do.
And she kept that money?
Yes.
Is that correct, Miss Morgan?
Yes, ma'am.
That's just a yes.
Yes.
Well, what did you think you were taking that money for? You asked for a refund, she gave you a refund.
I gave her $150 and she sent me $105 back, but she sent it the week of my event. So
I don't care if it's the week of your event. Did you send her $105 or?
I did.
Why?
Because I was charged a fee with Cash App, and also there were additional items that were purchased that I told her about that I deducted from that.
You can't deduct anything from that. And you can't even deduct the fee from Cash App because what it cost her was more than $150 then to send it to you, right?
Right.
Right. So why should you send her less?
Because I previously explained to her that I needed to order stones. Those stones were ordered.
Oh, then you're going to have to eat those. You didn't have the dress in time. You didn't have the dress in time.
The dress wasn't done.
No, it wasn't done. Not even according to you was it done. She hadn't had a fitting on it. The problem is you gave her money And you should have sent her exactly what it is that she sent you, because you didn't fulfill your end of the contract. A day before the party is not the time to say it's 95% ready. Okay. She has to give you 145.88, which is exactly what she received. Am I correct that that's what she said?
That is what she said.
145.88. Okay. She doesn't pay you for your disappointment, for your sorrow, for your party costs, or anything else. Just for my own information, because that's my judgment. Did you spend your birthday with your mother and father? That's either yes or no.
No, ma'am.
Who did you spend your birthday with?
My boyfriend.
Oh, was he invited to the other party?
The dinner, yes, but I had to cancel the dinner.
I'm just asking.
Yes.
You didn't have to cancel the dinner because you didn't have a dress. That's what I'm trying to get to you. You could have gone to your dinner in that dress. I know, it's silly, and it's a little bit immature also. What about your best friend from Chicago? You told her not to come in because you didn't have a dress?
Well, I told him that I would be canceling the dinner because I purchased shoes, my nails, everything was accustomed to the dress. So when she didn't deliver the dress, everything was already in black and silver. I did not have a chance to go look for anything because it was the week of.
Oh, yes, of course you did. Of course you did, black and silver. You put on black pants, black top, and you put on silver around your neck. We're done here. Don't be ridiculous, Miss Morgan. You have to grow up a little. You have to give her back her money. Don't disappoint people. I mean, I know it's busy. It's tax time. You said to her, I'm busy. I'm working on things for the Oscars. You can't overstretch yourself. I know that it's very entrepreneurial to try to do too much. But sometimes when you try to do too much, you disappoint somebody.
This court is adjourned.
I'm not happy about it just because I'd already given her a refund.
I'm happy with the decision. It was pretty much principle for me. She was very unprofessional.
And given from the beginning, I worked with her and she didn't respect my time and she canceled on me at the last minute. And she waited to the last minute and canceled the order. So
she canceled at the last minute because she didn't have the dress ready to begin with.
Everything was really on her, but she put it on me because she was unhappy with how she chose to deal with the whole situation.
We'll be getting another dress with my original person that I was going to go to.
Absolutely not.
But from now on, I definitely will be going with who I know.
Will not work with the plaintiff again.
So I remember seeing through COVID a lot of wedding dress shops closing down and the stress of brides going for fittings and seeing their dress, picking their dress, and then the shop just closed right out from under them. I wonder if any of them canceled their wedding because they didn't have the right dress.
I think that one of the life's lessons is as you get older, you have to prioritize the importance of things.
True. Spending time with friends, family, out of town, coming for your birthday. I couldn't imagine canceling an event just
because you didn't have the right
outfit.
dress. Because you didn't have the right dress. So I think that there's a lot of growing up to do, maybe a little less narcissism, because it would seem to me spending time with your boyfriend, your mother, your father, your best friend from Chicago is more important than having the right dress to fit your nails and your shoes.
I agree.
Maybe I'm just...
Former landlord Charles Ashley for sabotaging their business, vet bills, and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2036, Carter versus Ashley.
Thank you. Welcome. Your sisters, is that correct?
Yes.
You decided, according to your complaint, to go into a business, some sort of a doggy daycare. In what month and year did you decide to go into that business?
This year, 2 months ago, May.
Do you have any dogs of your own?
Yes.
How many?
I have a poodle and 2 pits.
And you?
I have 4 pit bulls.
Did they all live in your home?
They did, yes.
They did?
Yes.
The two of you decided to go into this alleged business and needed some space, according to you, and went to the defendant who was renting a house. Is that right, Mr. Ashley?
No, it's not a house.
What is it?
It's a building.
What kind of building?
It's a commercial building.
Okay. On this commercial building lot, there's a backyard or a back
yes.
empty space, and it's an open space with a fence.
Yes.
So it's not a home.
No.
What arrangements did you make with the Carter sisters to rent them that space?
I made arrangement with Deborah Carter.
May I see? Deborah Carter.
Correct.
That's you.
Yes.
When for the first time did you meet Deborah?
I think it was around the 4th of June.
And she wanted to bring some dogs onto your property.
Correct.
How many dogs did she want to bring on your property?
She didn't tell me. She told me she had a kennel. And when I got there and she had the dogs there in 2 cages, it was 7 dogs, 7 pit bulls.
In cages?
Yes, and they're there today.
They're still there?
Yes.
May I see them, please?
I don't have them, and I didn't know what to get together.
Okay, I'd like to see what pictures you have, sir.
Yeah. This is the 30-day notice that I've given them, and those are the pictures where she damaged.
Miss Carter, sometime after June of this year, did you place dogs in this fenced-in open space in cages?
Yes.
Loud. You hear the way I'm talking?
Yes.
And how many dogs did you place in the cages?
At that time, it was 7.
7 adult dogs?
No, there's 3 adults and 4 puppies or 5.
How old were the puppies?
They were 6 months, 5 or 6 months.
Who did the dogs belong to?
Me.
So all those dogs...
Well...
let's get it right the first time. This is not going to get easier. This is going to get harder, Miss Carter. So the 7 dogs that you... Stop playing with your papers. The 7 dogs that you placed in the cages were your dogs.
Mine's my sister's and another friend.
How many were yours? You had 4 pit bulls. Mm-hmm. Were your 4 pit bulls there?
Yes.
Yes, that's a yes. So you're 4. Your sister has 2 pit bulls. Were her... Look at me. Your sister has 2 pit bulls. Were her 2 pit bulls there?
Yes.
So that's 6. And somebody else had 1.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the person who had 1?
They're not here. It's a friend. We were watching their dog. They have a dog.
So you put your 4 pit bulls, your sister's 2 pit bulls, and a friend's pit bull in 2 cages.
No.
How many cages?
There are 4 cages, but...
Okay. I'd like to see pictures of the 4 cages. There you go.
And that's just to separate them.
Your Honor, when she...
By 6.
Shh. Just a second. Prior to meeting the defendant, where did you keep your 4 pit bulls?
In the yard at my home.
Was it in the backyard that you kept the 4 pit bulls?
Yeah, they had space in the backyard, but they stayed in the house. And then when it's time to do their thing, they go outside. They stayed in the house in the living room.
So they were house dogs?
Yes.
And what about your 2 pit bulls?
I stayed in the front house. They stayed in the house with me.
On what date did you bring your pit bulls to the yard? June 4th?
June 6th.
6/6. And you paid him for a month. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yes.
How much did you pay him for the month?
$500.
And the 3 puppies that were 6 months old, what did you intend to do with those?
We had people that wanted them. We were supposed to move.
Just a second. Were they yours or hers? Who did the 3 puppies belong to?
Me.
They belong to you. So don't speak for her.
Okay.
Good.
I've been speaking for all my life.
I don't care what you've been doing all your life. Right now, I'm getting answers to someone who may or may not be swift enough or savvy enough not to tell me the truth. Did you ever have more than 7 dogs in the yard?
No.
Okay. So this is what I'm sort of confused about. Of the 7 dogs that you kept in his yard, 6 of them were pit bulls that belonged to you. And what you're suing him for is, you say, because of him, you lost your kennel business where you want, well, that's what it says here. You lost your kennel business.
Daycare.
What?
It's a
dog
daycare.
daycare.
It's a daycare.
There's no dog daycare. They were your dogs.
No, we were supposed to be inside. We were only supposed to be outside for a week. The business is a business, like he said. It has a storefront. It has a middle section. The storefront is where we take the small dogs. When you come in, we'll greet you, assess it, bring in the small dogs. If you have bigger dogs, he has a middle section. We were supposed to split the building in half.
And he
never cleaned the inside of the building. We had to go in there, power wash it ourselves. We bought our own paint. We were only supposed to be outside for 2 weeks until his people cleaned the inside for us.
Okay. Is that what you were supposed to do?
No, Your Honor, they are lying.
Okay.
The building was a motorcycle shop. They ain't bought no paint. They ain't cleaned nothing in it. It's still not clean.
Okay.
And
were
they didn't have no money.
Just a second. How much in total did they give you for rent?
$500.
Is that correct?
Yes.
For the first
Just a second. Did you give them any more than $500?
No.
Did you have any other dogs other than your 6 dogs and somebody else's 1 pit bull ever on the premises?
No.
No, don't speak. I'm speaking to her. So whatever business you were, your investment in this business was $500.
No, I worked for him May 25th to June 1st. I cleaned out 25 refrigerators.
I don't care. That's not in here.
That was a pay. Yes, it is.
She ain't worked for me.
Just a second.
I sent it to you guys.
Just a second. Miss Carter, there is absolutely nothing here that says that you worked for him and he owes you for that.
Well,
let me tell you what your complaint states. Your complaint says money owed for sabotaging a business, vet bills because one of your dogs was injured, and
I'm not saying
actual and punitive damages for assault. That's what you're claiming.
I'm just saying that I cleaned those appliances. He said that was a payment for rent. So that was for the second month of rent. It was $500.
Just a second.
He was supposed to pay me every day, but I just told him to put it towards the rent. Okay. And that's what we agreed to. So the first month and the second month was paid for.
Listen to me. My question is simple.
Yes.
There's only one attitude here, madam. Stand up. Are your dogs still there?
Some of them.
Get them off his property.
Why is
It's
that?
not
It's
his
over.
property.
Very easy. You want to keep dogs in a cage like this? I can't control that. I am certainly not putting a judicial imprimatur on keeping dogs, and I don't care what breed they are, in cages in a backyard. So what I'm telling you this is you have 24 hours to get your dogs off that property. Get them off. He's going to get an order from a marshal. And if your dogs aren't off that property, they're going to the pound.
So
do you
why is
understand?
Why is that?
I want you to understand. I want you to understand my order, because now we're in August. You started this whole process in June. I'm finishing it before it gets too mucky. Get your dogs off the property. We understand each other?
Why is that?
Why? What did we do? We paid. We did.
No. You paid him for 1 month in June.
But
You paid him in 1 month in June. We are now in August. This is a marriage that's not going to go well. Get your dogs off his property, and then you don't have to deal with them anymore. Do you understand?
It's not his
No,
property.
I don't understand. You don't understand that
if it's not his property, then what are you suing him for?
Because he's the one who stabbed me.
Oh, just
And
a
he's the
second.
one who-
Just a second. So if we're eliminating money owed for sabotaging a business, and if you're suing him for assault, then I'll hear your assault. Then I don't have to hear any of the things about the dogs. So all I'm going to hear about is the assault. Tell me what happened. You were assaulted. That's what you want to tell me.
Yes, July 5th, we had came. My witness, if she could speak, she had
No, she wasn't assaulted, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She was assaulted first, actually. She's the first one he swung on.
Okay. Step up. July 5th. Your name is what?
Priscilla Walker.
You don't own any of these dogs, do you?
No, ma'am.
What were you doing on the property on the 5th of July?
I sometimes go and help them with the dogs, clean up and feed the dogs.
And those dogs that were there, they were there for at least a month from June 4th to July 5th.
Correct.
They're 6 pit bulls.
Correct.
Right? That used to be, according to them, in the backyard or in their homes, right?
Correct.
Okay, now, Priscilla, I want you to look at me, and they're your friends, right? So you went over to help them.
Yes.
I want you to tell me what it is that caused them to take these house dogs, dogs that were in their homes and in their backyard if they had to relieve themselves, don't speak, and move them into cages in a backyard in a commercial building. I want you to tell me that.
Your Honor, that wasn't the intent. They moved the dogs for a bigger space because they're entrepreneurs and they wanted to start a business.
Just a second, it's not their business. Business is starting a business with somebody else's dogs, not your dogs. They wanted to start a doggy, uncross your arms. They wanted to start, according to them, a doggy daycare. That I understand. But you don't start a doggy daycare by taking your dogs that are house dogs and putting them in cages in somebody else's backyard.
Why not?
Or somebody else's space.
Your Honor, that's not necessarily true. We're millennials. When you're boosting a business, you want to use yourself and what you have as advertisement, and that's what they did. So the other dog that they did have was a friend, and the friend was actually paying for that dog to stay there. So it did deem it a business at that time.
You still haven't answered my question as to why their 6 pit bulls were in cages when they were formerly house dogs for a month.
Your Honor, the gentleman over here to my left did not allow them permit. They didn't have access to what they paid for.
Just a second. Are you telling me that for a month they didn't have access for the dog? You just told me that you would go there and help them clean up.
To the inside of the building that was promised.
I'm not talking about the inside of the building.
Okay.
And the
Pay clear.
We got the whole yard.
Pay
We got the whole
pay
yard.
careful.
Junkyard on his side.
building.
So
They're not hearing all of you, and you're not answering my question.
Denise and Deborah Carter claim their former landlord, Charles Ashley, broke an agreement to store their dogs. They also claim he assaulted them. Charles claims he was the one who was assaulted.
Okay, if I was starting a doggy daycare business and I had house dogs, my little Shih Tzus, running around the house where they have been for years, I would not take them and put them in cages in a back vacant lot in order to demonstrate that I had a business.
My dogs
just a
slept in
second.
the house. They slept in the house. They didn't roam in like your little Shih Tzus. They didn't do that.
Just a
Those are
second, you
people.
told me that they
No,
stayed
I
in your
said that
house.
I said they slept in the house, in a cage, in an area.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't understand how you could take your pets.
But they stayed outside.
Because we were offering other things. We wanted to have one.
All right, let's get to the assault. I'm not interested in this. Now,
Your Honor, I have the lease here. I'm paying the owner $4,000 a month.
He lied to the loaner and said he wasn't going to do any sublease, and he subleased.
the only thing I'm interested in is the only thing I'm interested in is the assault.
The
So,
only-
Priscilla,
Yes.
don't speak. The three of you went there for what purpose on July 5th?
To feed and clean up after the dogs.
Okay, and you had done that before?
Yes.
And when you got there on July 5th, was that over a holiday weekend?
Yes, it was.
It was a Tuesday.
It
It was a Tuesday, so July 4th was on a Monday.
Yeah.
Had you spent the weekend with them?
I was there.
I'm not speaking to you. Had you spent the weekend with them?
No. Yeah.
Okay, you say yes, she says no. I'm not asking you a question. Do you understand? So you spent July 4th.
Go ahead.
You spent July 4th with them. Is either yes or no?
No.
When did you meet them on July 5th?
Around the morning.
Around what time?
11 a.m.
You're asking me with a question.
11 a.m.
I don't know if it was 11. I'm asking you.
11 a.m.
Did you have a discussion with them?
Regarding
the dogs, what you were going to do that day?
Of course, we always have discussions about what we're going to do during the
Okay.
day.
When you spoke to Deborah, did you ask her when she had last seen the dogs?
No.
No, you did not. Deborah, prior to July 5th, when had you last seen the dogs?
July 4th.
What time?
It was about 5 o'clock. I was in there, cleaned them up. He came, locked me in for 4 hours.
Okay. So on July 4th, you were in there feeding the dogs.
Yeah.
And July 5th, you went back in the morning again to feed the dogs. Mm-hmm. Is not an answer.
Yeah.
Now, tell me what happened when you got there on July 5th.
On July 5th, when we went inside to feed the dogs, I went to go turn on the water hose, and I noticed that the water would not come out. That's when they were in the kennels feeding the dogs, and I told Carter that, hey, the water's not on. So the door to the building was open. I believe they both stepped in. When they stepped in, there was like verbal altercation.
So when they stepped in, you heard that there was someone else in the building?
Yeah.
Okay. And that would have been you, sir?
Yes.
On the 5th?
Yes, me and another friend of mine.
Okay. And what were you doing in the building on July 5th?
It was about 6 o'clock that evening. My friend came by the house. He's a general contractor, and I'm renovating the building to set it up for business. So I said, come on, let me take you up here, show you the building. I need your help. We get up there. I open the gate, go in, leave the gate unlocked, and we walk through the building. When I come around, they are in the building.
All three of them or just one?
All three of them.
Had you turned the water off to the hose outside?
No.
Do you
I used
know?
to water the dogs when they didn't come because they'd be barking so, and the neighbors next door, I just moved in, Your Honor. I don't want to make no enemies. That's why I told them I'm not taking no more rent from you. Get the dogs out.
Okay.
I tell them you trespass.
Just a second. So now you went inside Well, the Carter sisters went inside.
Yeah, I said
You
that.
heard some noise. Did you go into the building?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened when you went into the building?
When I went into the building, he immediately got very frustrated and said, "What are you guys doing here? Why are you here? You need to get off my property, get off my property." They're like, "We paid you. We have an agreement." And next thing you know, he pushed Deborah Carter. He pushed her. And then that's when Denise Carter got in the middle and said, "No, you're not. Don't put your hands on my sister." The situation ensued. The gentleman that was inside stopped everything and walked him out of the building. And as he's walking him out of the building, and we're walking out behind him so that we can try to figure out what's going on with the water, he slams her foot in the door and tries to lock her in and pushes her. And that's when they started pushing on the door, because at this point he's trying to lock them in.
Lock them in the building?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
When they actually, the gentleman stopped him and the door opened, I seen what type of altercation it was. I didn't want anything to do with it. I'm like,
so at that point, nobody was injured?
No.
Okay. So now you're outside?
Now we're outside.
Okay. And you're outside in the back area where the dogs are?
Correct.
Tell me what happened next.
So as we're walking, I'm walking fast because I noticed that he's walking fast. And I'm like, "You're not about to lock me in here. You already just tried to lock them in there."
You mean lock you in the
yard?
yard? So you got out of the yard?
Yes, he tried to close the yard gate on us, which is a really big, tall, black gate. And as soon as he tried to close it, it was just an altercation, a verbal altercation started. He didn't like what was said. I was on the left-hand side.
Tell me what the altercation was.
Everything was said about the business, that they were going to speak to the owner, that, he still owed them money if he wanted them to move out for the rest of the month, that he could just give them the money or whatever and they'll leave. It wasn't a problem.
By the way, I am looking at your lease, and you did lease the premises from June of 2022 to May 31st, 2025 at a monthly rent of $4,000. Are you still paying rent to the owner of the building?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to remove your dogs there.
He's not paying rent. He has an eviction notice too. He owes $4,000. I have a picture of it.
He's lying.
He hasn't paid rent.
Nothing
He
else
hasn't
he's
paid
saying
rent
is true.
this month or last month. He got the eviction last month on the 11th.
Okay. Right now, he has not been evicted from the property. Is that correct, or have you?
Right.
I just paid him yesterday.
Why did you say you did?
Just a second. Oh, I'm asking a simple question. I have before me, ladies, pay attention. I have before me a lease that gives him 3/4 of the building and the backyard. Until he's evicted, until this lease is deemed void, you have to remove your dogs within 24 hours of today.
Why?
I am evicting you with a marshal tomorrow. Get your dogs out of there.
Denise and Deborah Carter have accused their former landlord, Charles Ashley, of breaking their agreement and assaulting them. Charles claims Denise and Deborah attacked him first.
Okay, we're going to get back to this assault because I have other things to do today. You're outside. The gate that he's tried to cross has opened up again. And
he got really angry. He was saying a lot of curse words, you need to remove all your, if you don't remove it, I'm going to remove it for you type stuff. And after that, he swung with his right hand and it connected with my face. After that, he started punching on all of us, so we had to defend ourselves and fight back.
And then an altercation got started, and everybody was fighting with everybody. So it was the three of you and him.
Yes. That's correct.
Did you go to a doctor?
No, but I was.
Just a second. Did you take photographs of your face?
No.
What about you? Deborah, were you hit by the defendant?
Yes, I was.
Where were you hit by the
face and my foot? No pictures, and I didn't go to the doctor. I self-healed.
Good. And what about you, Miss Carter? Where were you hit?
Doctor. I had to go to the ER because I had to get stitches. I had 9 stitches.
Okay. Well, tell me about the stitches. That's what I want to know. How did the cut that required the stitches take place?
When he was attacking us, he was swinging on me, and he had a blade in his hand. And I thought he was punching me, but really when I was blocking myself, he was taking.
That was the second occurrence, because after the first one, we tried to leave the situation. He was upset and put out a knife.
We thought we were leaving,
With
he
the
just
knife.
came back with the knife, and
Now I'd like to see the records.
Here's the knife records, and then here's the police records on when he was arrested, and that's just like my stitches and what doctor I went to and like my medication.
Okay. Now I'm going to take a look. Okay, Mr. Ashley, the only thing that I actually want to know about from you is there's no question in my mind that the plaintiff did not cut herself. No question. I want to know how she got cut.
I don't know, Your Honor. I didn't even have a wallet on me. I'm 75 years old. I wouldn't even argue with her. I went to the back door, the gate, and they had a trash can where they had propped it open. So I went to move the trash can, and that's when this one hit me and knocked me down. And when I was coming up, Deborah hit me in the head with a 2x4, and blood just went everywhere.
Did you go to the doctor?
Yes.
I'd like to see your report.
It's in the record.
You know, I have a video of what happened. I could just solve this right now.
Oh, I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Do you have it through the assault? I'm just interested in the assault.
It's just the assault.
Just the assault?
Yeah, it's just press
I'd like
play
to
right
see it.
here. Okay, if you press play, you'll see him slamming us out.
I don't see any assault.
Well, yeah, but I tell you, my phone fell out the hand.
Well, then don't show me what I can't see. All I know is he has medical records that he received 5 staples in the top of his head on that date. And that's not something he did to himself.
No.
Get up, stand up.
He
Where do you
did do
think
that.
you are? You think he did that to himself?
Yes, do you see the tire behind him? He just fell over it.
That's
and
exactly
all
what
that
happened.
wood behind him, he fell on that stuff.
Listen to me. Blunt head trauma, which is what the emergency, which is what the emergency.
yourself down.
Okay.
You attacked us.
You
You're
have-
attacking us in
It's okay.
pleasant.
Listen to me. Listen to me carefully. You have now sit. You have 24 hours to get your dogs out of that yard. You want to show me pictures of a trash-strewn yard? That's not where I would keep my precious house dogs for an hour. So get your dogs out of there 24 hours from today.
How do I counter that?
This is not a dance party. I'm ruling now. 24 hours, remove your dogs. You have nothing left to do with him. He wants you gone. I want you gone. I want those dogs out of the cages on that property, and I want them gone within 24 hours. Now, there's no question, Mr. Ashley, that both of you were injured in that altercation. No question. All I'm asking is, subsequent to your arrest, did you have a hearing?
No, Your Honor, I have it right here. They rejected the case.
May I see it?
They wouldn't even hear it.
Sure. They rejected it. Did you have a hearing?
They didn't tell me about anything.
They didn't tell you about anything. Well, that's because they rejected the case. Okay, I'm telling you, because I'm issuing an order, I'm giving it to you. You're the lawful tenant of the building. You can take it to a marshal, take it to the sheriff. Those dogs have to be out of there within 24 hours. We're done here.
This court is adjourned.
You know, it is what it is.
I thought it was a good decision. It was the truth.
He has no consequences. It just is the reason why we don't believe in the judicial system.
I'm not going to be renting out to them no more, and I'm not going to rent to nobody.
I think that it's so cruel to keep 7 dogs in small crates day, night.
Especially in a commercial building, open lot.
People shouldn't have dogs that do that. There should be a license required to own a dog, not necessarily to be a dog, but to own another living creature. I don't know what kind of mind would think that it's fair to keep a living creature in a filthy,
dusty,
infested yard in crates for now 3 months. I don't know what kind of creature would do that.
Case number 2061, Laura versus Burke. All parties, please step forward.
Michael Laura is suing car seller Donald Burke for a vintage car title.
Mr. Lara,
Yes, Your Honor.
you had a truck,
Yes.
and that truck was a 2007
Yes, Your Honor.
Nissan Frontier.
Correct.
When did you purchase it?
I purchased it in 2019
From whom?
from a private owner. I don't have his name, but I purchased it over on an auto app.
So you found it online?
Yeah.
So it's still online. How much did you pay for the car in 2019?
In 2010, I paid, 19, I paid $10,000.
I don't believe that. Let's try it one more time, Mr. Lara. exactly how much did you pay for the car in 2019?
$10,000, Your Honor.
Show me a bill of sale.
I don't have that bill of sale from back then.
Okay.
I have only the title that I had.
Okay. Let's assume for the moment that that's almost accurate because the truck is now worth
somewhere between $8,000 and $9,000.
So that would be a depreciation. So now it's worth $8,000.
Okay.
You decided to sell it.
Correct. To trade it.
And you put an ad online to sell it?
Yes, I did.
You, Mr. Burke, had a 1947 classic Chrysler sedan.
Yes.
When did you get that?
Beginning of the year.
Beginning of 2022. And where did you get it from?
A car dealer had it for sale.
Car dealer where?
Montclair, California.
You remember the name of the car dealer?
No, ma'am, I don't.
But it was the beginning of 2022.
Yes.
And was it an ad online?
No, I was driving by and saw the car. I kind of liked the way it looked.
How much did you pay for it?
$12,500.
Do you have a bill of sale?
No.
That was just this year. Why don't you have a bill of sale?
I have the registration and title.
I don't need the registration and title. I need a bill of sale.
I don't have one.
Difference when you buy it from a private party. But if you buy, do you have, it was the beginning of January. How did you pay for the car?
Cash.
Cash. Do you have a withdrawal from your bank of $12,500 to show me?
No, I don't.
Well, how do you expect me to decide this case? You have a claim, you have a counterclaim. Nobody has any proof. How do you expect me to decide? Each of you is suing the other for $10,000 without any proof of anything. How do you expect me to decide that?
Correct, Your Honor.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it?
Yes.
Michael Laura claims car seller Donald Burke owes him the title to a vintage car. Donald is countersuing, claiming Michael broke their agreement.
Okay. Do you have a car now?
Yes, I have a 2001 GMC truck.
No. You have his car?
Oh, yes, I have his car, yes.
You have his car?
Yes.
And you have his truck?
Yes.
What do you want me to do?
I wasn't the one that started this.
Okay, Your Honor.
He doesn't have the title.
Well, he never produced the money that he was supposed to produce.
I have his title to his vehicle. He signed it over to me, and he gave me the keys as well.
Okay. I didn't ask you anything. Well, I want you have the title, you have the keys, you have the truck.
Correct, Your Honor.
My question to you is you have the title to his car. He paid, let's assume he's correct, that he paid $12,500 for the car in the beginning of 2022. That car, which is a classic car, is now for sale, because I looked it up, I don't remember the numbers, for?
Between $18,000 and $60,000 on the high end of what I've seen.
Okay, so it's worth considerably more than what you paid for it. Roughly $10,000 more than what you paid for it, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
You don't know him, do you?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
There would be no reason why he would make you a gift. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you have the title for that car.
Yes.
Because you say, according to you, that he didn't fulfill his promise.
Correct.
His contract to pay you an additional amount for it. Now, you say he agreed to pay you an additional $10,000 for it.
Yes.
I don't know that because none of it's in writing. Anybody have any proof of that?
No, Your Honor.
No. Yeah, good. And you want your car back.
I would just...
You want your car. Well, I'm not giving you $10,000. I want you to just understand that.
Yes.
Because you have no proof here of anything that satisfies me. So I'm asking you, you want nothing or do you want your car back?
What's your $10,000?
I'd rather have my car back than nothing.
You'd rather than have your car back. And
I'm sorry.
you have the car.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And you put in some money in the truck.
Yes, the catalytic converters were bad.
How much money did you put into the truck?
$2,165.
Okay. And you have proof of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where?
Can I help him?
I don't need you for anything.
Here. And it still needs another $2,165 for the other side.
And you have the title to the car, is that right?
Yes.
Now, do you want nothing or do you want your truck back, even though he added money to it? Do you want nothing or do you want your truck back? That's my question to you. You want nothing or you want your truck back?
My truck.
Great. And you want your car back.
Yes.
Perfect. And both of you have agreed, because there was clearly some misunderstanding between the two of you, giving you the total benefit of the doubt, sir, that there was additional money to be forthcoming. I'm speaking. Understand this. Neither one of you are leaving here with a penny. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
No, I don't. I put
very,
$2,000
very,
into
very,
his truck. I
very, very
repaired his
easy.
truck.
Very easy, sir. You're getting back a car that you say is worth, she says, is worth $20,000.
Your Honor. Sorry.
It's not going to work for you. You're going to each end up with your own cars back. Since there was clearly a misunderstanding about the nature of the contract, what I'm telling you is I'm going to prepare an order that within 5 days of today's date, you are to exchange cars. Figure out where you want to do that, a mutually convenient place. That's the order of the court. Goodbye.
Court is adjourned.
Not even the $2,000 I put into his truck?
Goodbye.
This way, sir.
You can sell your 47 for a lot more money.
I didn't bring us here. He brought us here.
I like this car. He liked my truck. When I got there, we did the exchange. He signed the titles. He gave me the keys to the vehicle.
Well, he gave me a truck that needed a $4,000 repair, and he didn't mention that when he gave it to me. And my car, was nothing wrong with my car.
I have always maintained my vehicle. I have records of it and everything.
I'll just keep my car.
No more business deals.
So I really agree with you that there was no meeting of the minds, because the defendant thought that the plaintiff was going to pay him an additional $10,000 for the 1947 Chrysler, and no one had any proof of anything. So it's really hard to come to court with zero proof on either side. So I think your ruling to leave them how they were found prior to any what they believed to be a contract was the right decision, because
I'm so glad you felt that way.
well, I mean, I was thinking to myself, looking over the papers, what's she going to do with this one? You know, it's hard because with no proof and a he said, she said verbal agreements with tangible items like vehicles, I probably would have done the same thing. I don't know what to make of this. I have nothing to look at, nothing to rely on.
And it was so interesting because they both bought these cars recently.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of them had bill of sale, said he paid cash, $12,500. Show me where you withdrew the money from a bank. Mm-hmm. The whole thing was suspicious to me. So to me, the easiest thing to do was leave the parties
as you found them.
As you found them. They had no contract because there was no meeting of the minds as to what the particulars were of the contract. You get your truck back in a little better shape. You get your car back probably in a little better shape, and
be on your way.
Fatoumata Diallo has accused salon owner Kanaya Taylor of stealing 5 wigs. Kanaya says Fatoumata was trying to scam her.
So the car was repossessed. When? Don't look at her. Give me a month, give me a year. Was it recent, in the last 3 months, 4 months?
I can't give you a month.
So it was repossessed because of non-payment of whatever the note was, because that's the only basis to repossess a car. Okay. Now, you say you're not living in that same apartment anymore. You were living in this 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yeah.
Yes is an answer. And you're no longer living in that apartment.
No.
And what happened to that apartment?
I moved. She moved with me.
Okay. You moved when?
November.
November of 2021.
Yes.
Just about the time of all these disputes over wigs. Did your roommate remain in the apartment?
Yes.
Did you have a lease in that apartment?
Yes.
Was your lease over, or did you move out during the lease?
It was over, and I renewed it for my roommate.
Now, the lease was in your name.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer. Yes is an
ma'am.
answer, and you renewed the lease even though you moved out.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you living now?
In Conyers.
What kind of place?
House. And I pay all the bills.
And what does your girlfriend do?
She works.
What does she do?
She does lashes. She does hair. She does nails. She's an entrepreneur.
Does she have a website?
Yes.
Yes. What's the name of her website? You think?
Yeah, I think. I don't be on her. I don't shop with her.
Got it?
Looking.
Did you have a conversation with Miss Taylor about these 5 wigs? Did you have a conversation with her?
Yes.
Do you have a cell phone?
Me? No.
Did you ever have a cell phone?
Yes.
What happened to your cell phone?
I broke it, so I went on another one.
And you didn't get another one?
It have to get sent to the house. I just broke it. Like, I just broke it.
You just broke it?
Yeah.
So
last
you
week.
have a cell phone. Tell me how you broke the cell phone.
I got real angry and I threw it.
You got angry with somebody.
Yes.
And tell me how your girlfriend lost her cell phone.
Oh, she gave it to me.
And when did she lose her cell phone?
She gave me that phone. I bought her another phone. She gave me that
So
phone.
she gave you,
around.
just a second. So she gave you the phone that she had been using.
Yes.
Which had Joyce information on it. That was the phone she gave you.
I guess so. I don't know Joyce. I don't know who Joyce is.
Sit down. Ms. Taylor, you want to be in business, you have to pay for what you ordered. It's absolutely, I'm not speaking to you, it's absolutely outrageous that she sent you these wigs, they were delivered to your house, and she not only doesn't have the wig, she doesn't have not only her profit, she doesn't have any money. And you've got a lot of clients that you can't identify, and phones that got lost, and information that you don't have. And information that you don't have, that you don't have. Clients that are no longer clients, that blocked you. I mean, people who block you after you work for them for a year, that means that you're either doing a lousy job.
No, because the way she came at me, I actually chumped them off because I feel like you're messing up my business. So I chumped them off, and I guess she didn't want to reply, and she just blocked me.
2196, judgment for the plaintiff.
Your Honor, I have other text messages. I was out of business for like month and a half.
I have to tell you something. I can't discern whether you lost business or not because of this. I cannot discern that. I can give you back the money that you lost as a result of shipping her 5 wigs and not getting compensated for it.
And I also have court fees, and I ordered a PI as well.
But
just a second.
More people
that I will hear.
For wigs.
What were your court fees?
I'm not the only person you suing. If I pulled up
nobody
and bought a wig, why wouldn't I?
Nobody is listening to you.
Okay, well, can I leave?
No.
It's
court fees.
And I also have my incident report that day.
Just a second. Would you please just give me the court fees? You said you had court fees and you hired an investigator.
Yes, I did.
And I'd like to see that invoice, because that's you're entitled to.
I have the text messages with my PI.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is that you're handing me. I asked you what the court fees were.
I have my PI phone number.
You have nothing.
I didn't print out my court fees, but I do have my more.
Do you have an invoice from the investigator that you say that you hired?
Yes.
And the work that they did?
Yes, I have all the messages.
I don't want messages. I need an invoice, a payment.
I did a payment, $400, and we had the text message trying to find her everything.
Can I see it, please? It was $250 for skip tracing and $150 for service.
My sales went down.
Just a second. Did this person serve her?
Yes, they did.
2196, judgment for the plaintiff. That's it. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I never did it. You know, I just got it sent to my house.
We went through everything. We had to go through birthdays.
It's like saying, I know a friend that they know how to cut hair.
Text messages, everything.
And then you don't like your haircut. What you want me to pay for your haircut? Like, girl.
We literally hawked her down for the information.
She honestly messed up my clientele.
It would be easy to be forthcoming with me and say, these are the clients who I sold it to. I gave her the information. They were supposed to pay her, whatever, but she didn't.
A lot of running around.
A lot of running around. And there's no question that the plaintiff sold her those wigs. She made a markup. She made a 25% markup. That's okay. And I'm certain that she put in the wigs and made her own markup. Yep. You know, that's commerce. But this ability to reverse charges on a credit card and to have somebody, and it's usually just a person, we're not talking about a committee or a tribunal that determined whether or not the charge was legitimate, just to reverse it. And then where are you? You're left without your product. Very frustrating.
It's a double-edged sword. It can be very useful. I've had to do that on a few different occasions. And the process is very hidden and sort of behind the curtain. And I fear for people like the plaintiff who run their own business, hardworking people who make the best money on the internet because there's no overhead fee of running a store. But these are some of the risks and things that you have to ensure before you get into business.
Well, too bad. Yeah. Too bad people don't do the right thing. If they did the right thing, we'd be out of business.
For rent, a security deposit, and stolen property.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2066, Michelonius versus Robertson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Robertson, how long had you been living in your apartment prior to renting a room to the plaintiff?
I believe it was about 3 years.
You had been living there by yourself?
No, I had roommates previously.
When did the plaintiff move in?
I believe that it was January 1st of 2017.
2017?
It may have been 2018. It was the first, I forget.
It was 2018.
That's correct.
How long did he live there with you?
He lived there with me until September of 2021.
So far, that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So now let me understand this lawsuit. Mr. Robertson lived in his apartment for 3 years. You answered an ad for a room. You lived with him in his home as a tenant from January 2018 until September 2021.
Correct.
At that time, there was a dispute. We will get into that in a moment. There was a dispute. During part of that time, Mr. Michelonis, you did not pay rent. Is that correct? During COVID?
That's correct.
For what period of time did you not pay rent?
Well,
Give me how many months did not pay rent?
There was...
You don't have to think out loud. How many months between January of 2018 and September 2021 did you not pay rent? Give me a number. That's a number.
4 months. Some months I paid partial rent. But there were 4 months that I did not pay any rent.
4 months, no rent. And how many months did you pay partial rent?
I believe that would have been 4 or 3.
So for 7 months, you did not pay your rent. Paying partial rent is not rent. Now, my question to you, Mr. Robertson, is this is an apartment that you rent?
Yes.
Or rented? Mm-hmm. From January 2018 until September 2021, was your rent current?
My portion of the rent was current.
What do you mean your portion?
My portion that I was responsible for.
No, it's your apartment. You're responsible for the whole thing, Mr. Robertson.
Yes.
Okay? You're responsible for the whole rent. And if what you chose to do was to say to your landlord, listen, I have a roommate, I'm just paying my portion of the rent, my roommate isn't paying his,
right,
then your rent wasn't paid.
Yes.
And I assume that your rent wasn't paid for the same period of time that he didn't pay you his portion of the rent.
Yes.
Was it for any period of time greater than that? Greater than the 4 months or the 7 months that he didn't pay rent?
I went through my bank statements and they went back until, I believe, July of 2020. And that's as far back as my bank app lets me go.
Okay.
There were more months than that I received partial or no rent payments for.
From him?
From him.
I'm asking you about your landlord. If you didn't pay your landlord, you telling me your landlord didn't file an eviction against you?
There were several months that he did pay his full rent, and so that would have meant that the entire rent for that period.
Well, I know, but if the rent was not paid, did your landlord ever serve you an eviction notice?
No, there was an eviction moratorium in Alameda County at that point for unpaid rents due to COVID.
Gotcha. So that would it be a fair statement that you both took advantage of that? He took advantage of it, and so did you.
I wouldn't say that it was me trying to take advantage. I would just say it was my inability to cover the entire rent.
Your portion as well as his?
My portion was always covered.
Your portion was covered?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Michelonis, when did you move from month and year?
It was September of 2021.
And when did you leave there?
I believe it was the 3rd or 4th week of August of 2021.
So you both left the place at about the same time?
I left involuntarily, but yes.
Well, you left involuntarily, because that's what this case is about. Okay, so now I have the structure of it. Do you understand the structure of it?
I understand.
You understand the structure of it? I just want to make sure that people out there watching understand the structure of it. So you were the rentor, and you had an argument. It resulted in a protective order for somehow some genius put him out of his own apartment because of these protective... You weren't in the hospital for anything, were you, as a result of an assault? No.
No.
You have no medical records there of being treated for any injury.
It was a harassment.
Just a minute. Do you know my husband harasses me every day? Every day. I couldn't think of evicting him. I mean, you do other things. So the answer is, you were never treated for any illness. You were never treated for anxiety at a hospital as a result of this harassment. As a result of your allegations, let us say of harassment, Mr. Robertson was ejected from his own home, from which you had not been paying rent. Your portion that you were supposed to pay contractually with him for months because of COVID. Am I getting this story right so far? I'm not finished yet, but so far, is there anything that I said was wrong?
I think that's pretty close. I mean,
Okay, so that's pretty close. And now what you are seeking here is, should I say basically, and I hate that word, basically, but it's appropriate in this case. So all of those haters out there, she used basically, I don't care. It's appropriate here.
Mark Michelonis claims his former roommate, Christopher Robertson, owes for rent, a security deposit, and stolen property. Christopher is countersuing, claiming Mark owes him for rent.
Now, what you're claiming in your lawsuit is that after a review of the copy of the underlying lease, you found that you were paying the vast majority of the rent.
Correct.
And so you want a return of that money.
That's correct.
Under what theory in the law?
Well, basically that he defrauded.
No, now you can't use a basically.
Okay.
I want to know what theory is there in the law that says if I own a building and I lease to someone the whole building for $10,000, and then I find somebody who is prepared to pay me, and I have the first 2 floors of the building. 3rd floor is vacant. I find somebody who's willing to pay me $9,000 a month just for the top floor. That makes me a good business person. But unless there is something that prohibits him from doing that...
There is, Your Honor.
Show me.
There's a clause in the lease.
No, just show me.
Okay.
I'm a lawyer. I can read a lease.
So the sublease that I agreed to with him incorporates the entirety of this master
Just a second.
lease.
I'd just like to see it, please, sir. I'd just like to see it. I assume you've highlighted what you want me to read.
Correct.
Okay, so what you're pointing to is that the landlord, his landlord, was not advised that you were subletting.
No.
Well, that's why signed by every tenant.
So that was one of the things, because if you look at the second lease, the one that was altered by Christopher to remove those areas so I wouldn't be aware, or I wouldn't be able to enforce them, was because he moved his boyfriend in without getting my consent. And so it says in there that he needs written consent. I understand that that doesn't apply to me, but he thought it did. And so he used whiteout on the other lease that I gave to you to obfuscate those terms.
I don't know how to put this to you, sir, other than to say, could we backtrack? What kind of work do you do?
I'm a web developer.
You work for yourself or for a company?
I do. I'm an independent contractor.
How long have you been doing that?
2 years.
Prior to that, what were you doing?
I was a system administrator.
For whom?
For a small company in San Francisco.
How long did you work for them?
6 years.
So for 2 years, you were an independent web developer, and you're still an independent web developer.
Correct.
And that's how you support yourself.
Right.
So you work out of your home.
Right.
And you've been working out of your home, you said, the last 2 years since 2020. This is 2022 or 19.
Right.
What do you mean, right?
So it would have been.
When you moved in 2018, were you an independent contractor?
No, I was going to school.
You were going to school?
Right.
For what?
I went to,
Just a second, for what?
For web technologies. It was a program for web development technology.
Did you go in person?
Yes. It was an intensive.
For how long?
It was 3 months. It was 8 hours a day.
Okay, so you went to school for 3 months.
Right.
During what period of time?
January 2018 to end of March 2018.
Okay, and at that time you were living with the plaintiff?
Correct.
Okay, so you needed a room for that 3-month period, and after that time, you supported yourself by being your own boss, by developing websites.
It took me a while to find a job, but yes.
What do you mean it took you time to find a job?
The interview process to get work, I was interviewing, it was very hard to break into that industry.
And so what did you do?
So I started taking on independent work.
So you never actually got a job outside of the independent work that you did?
That's correct.
So you support yourself by doing web development out of your home?
Yes.
So you used the home that you were living in, that room that you were renting, for not only your personal business, but you operated a place of business out of your residence.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay?
Yes.
Yes. I just want you to see how ridiculous you are. You want $10,000 because you overpaid what you consider your fair share of the rent. That's not going to happen. You come here, you didn't pay rent for at least 7 months because of COVID. You were working according to you. You were a web developer, still are. It's 2022 because you have no other job other than being a web developer. You stopped paying rent. You moved out after he did, correct?
Well,
did you pay?
I'd like to correct
in the
something.
month that you lived there, when you had put him out of his house because you
they were moving out. I did not put him out of the house.
I thought that was a protective order.
It was, but they were, and I put in the protective order that they were living with me, but they were moving, and so.
No. They were living with you. You were living with them.
Well, yeah, we were living together.
No. You were living with the defendant. He wasn't living with you. You were renting a place, although you weren't paying rent from him, and the underlying landlord wasn't getting his money, all of his money, because he wasn't getting your money. And what's coming to me is that somebody got stiffed with rent, and that would be the landlord who rented you your place where you were living, because you didn't pay him the whole thing. You didn't pay him the whole thing. And now you want me, you're asking me, to award you $10,000 for overpayment of rent.
Your Honor, could I clarify something? The times when I didn't pay rent, I was not working. It was during COVID, so the first couple months of the COVID lockdown, I lost all of my contracts, so I didn't have any money. And so I was using there was a COVID process where you could, basically say that,
There's no basically in there, only I used it once.
I did not have the money to pay rent. I was not just making money and not paying rent. I would not do that. I was broke. All of my contracts dried up because nobody had any money. I was working for small
So what are you
companies.
suing him for now? The government was very good to you. This is a very interesting America. It's a rent forgiveness, it's a rent moratorium. That doesn't mean the state where you live. What state do you live in?
California.
California. That doesn't mean the owner of this premises was given some sort of a break that they didn't have to pay for utilities, taxes, mortgage on the building, because it's used as a business. As far as I know, there wasn't a moratorium on that, but there was a moratorium on two seemingly able-bodied people to say to the landlord, I can't pay my rent. To add insult to injury, you think that I'm going to give you $10,000 because he charged you more than whatever the third or
আপনি সেটা খুব সহজে করতে পারেন কিভাবে এন্টার করবেন কি কি ডকুমেন্টস লাগবে ভিডিওতে শেয়ার করব অবশ্যই ভিডিওটা পুরো দেখতে বলবেন না ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে
আমাকে খেয়ে ফেলো আমাকে খেয়ে ফেলো খাবে দেখে আমার মনে পড়ছে আমার দেখে আর মনে হয় কাঁকড়ার চেহারা মনে পড়ে আমার দেখলেই খালি কয় কাঁকড়া খাবো আমার যে কবার দেখতেছে ওই কবারে খালি কইতেছে কাঁকড়া খাবো খাওনি না বাবা ভেজে দিব সোনা পাখি ভেজে দিব একটা মেয়ে বাজগা সবটাই বাজুম বাজলে ফরমালিটি খালি বাজুমি তো কেরম মধ্যে কোনো না খালি মশলা দিয়ে মাখাইয়া মাছের মতো খালি ডুবা তেলে বাইজালাম শেষ বেশি করে মশলা পিঠা তেলি করবোই বাইজালাম ফিরে তো অনেকই মাছ মাংস সোনা পাখি ভেজে দেব একটা নেলে বাজগা সবটাই বাজলে ফরমালিটি খালি বাজুনি তো কেরামতি করবো মানে খালি মশলা দিয়ে মাখাই মাছের মতো ডুবা তেলে বাইজালাম শেষ পিঠা তেলে করবোই বাইজালাম ফেলে তো অনেকই আমরা মাছ মাংস